What is going on, YouTube? Another video coming at you from the Washington Command Post. We are officially going to get started here in the next 3 minutes or so. But let me share this to Twitter. Yep, okay. And I'll share it to Facebook too. I doubt anyone's going to jump on, but I'll share it to Facebook. All right. If you're on, it's mainly Q&A, but if you want to put a comment in, go ahead and put a comment in the comments down below. I'll answer any question about Washington or football in general, even video games. What's going on, Patrick? How you doing? I'm coming at you from my new apartment. I ain't really going to pan out and show you the rest of it. Let's just say it's not an apartment, it's a townhouse. It's my new townhouse. It's very nice. It cost me a good bit of my back to move everything into. But in general, I really like it. I got a nice little gaming center here. If you guys don't already, follow me on Twitter. Commander J Plank is my my name. Post stuff all the time. Post videos about my videos. Post comments on Washington stuff. Sports in general. I even posted what I was doing before this. I had dinner and then I played some League of Legends. I don't know if anyone plays League of Legends, but yeah. Tekken 7, nice. I was just playing video games too. League of Legends. All right. Get started here in about a minute. Patrick, got any questions about Washington? I got my ears lowered. I don't know if anyone knows what that means or not. It's an old phrase. Got my ears lowered. I'm going to lower the camera just a smidge. There we go. All right, I still got a minute based on my clock here. All right. MLB is a need. You're definitely right about that. I was really hoping we'd pick one up in free agency and in the draft we can just draft depth, but we're probably going to end up drafting. We're probably going to draft a linebacker to play at middle linebacker, or we're going to draft a cornerback. I'm sorry, a safety to kind of play like that hybrid Landon Collins role. I don't know why they just don't try to sign Landon Collins back for a very, very team-friendly deal. Maybe on principle he doesn't want to. That might be the situation with that. But I think in the second round we're going to address middle linebacker. My prediction is Chad Muma from, I think it's Wyoming or Colorado. It's one of those two. It's a northwest state. Definitely a need though. Middle linebacker, I think we address in the second round. Maybe first round if we trade back. Like I would like to. I'm going to lower this light on on the camera a little bit. That's a little better. Now my face isn't like blasted with light. All right, so it is past 7:30 now. Yeah, I agree with you, Patrick. I think and one of the few TV analysts, ironically, is actually Colin Cowherd that says this. Like Washington, we lost 4 games last year by like a possession. And we were in shambles. Our defense wasn't playing up to snuff. We had a backup quarterback playing. We had a lot of things not bounce our way. We had some of the worst luck, and we still won 7 games. I know you can't rely on luck, and I know that's just like maybe me being the eternal optimist that I am. But Washington, like let's think about it. They lost the Chargers game by 4. We lost. I think the Saints game was winnable. The Denver game was winnable. What other game was winnable? I mean, we were in the Buffalo game for a little bit, and then we just couldn't do anything. What other game was winnable? The second Eagles game was pretty winnable, and I think the Dallas game was winnable too. Dallas, we were only down a little bit. We got the ball back. And I think if we had Taylor Heineke, we had a chance to win that game. I don't trust, I think it was Kyle Allen. I don't trust Kyle Allen in a game-winning drive situation. I trust Taylor Heineke more. I don't trust either one of them a lot, but Taylor Heineke's just for some reason just a little bit more steps up in those situations. So you got a handful of games where Washington, I don't want to say easily could have won, but just a ball bounce this way or that way, and we could have won. So there's 4 to 5 games that Washington could have won that could have swayed either way, and that's with the backup quarterback. So with a better quarterback now, and we fill some of these holes, and we're just a little more crisp as a team, I think Washington could have a pretty good year. We're gonna need a good draft though. We're gonna definitely need to fill some holes. As much as I do like getting Carson Wentz, I don't know how everyone else feels about Carson Wentz. I like him. I think he definitely is a force multiplier. He makes Terry McLaurin a lot better than Terry McLaurin was. Terry McLaurin's good, don't get me wrong, but now Terry McLaurin can actually go deep because a quarterback can throw deep. De'Ami Brown is that much more effective because he can go deep. So there's a lot of the running game is more effective because Wentz is a threat to throw the ball deep. So teams aren't going to crowd the line of scrimmage. The offensive line doesn't have to deal with teams bringing the house and bringing a lot of heat because Wentz can burn them by throwing the ball deep. It's a drastically different scenario offensively. Heineke maybe could throw the ball 30 yards downfield. And he doesn't throw the ball with zip. He has to kind of like really heave it up there and let it hang. So it's definitely a big upgrade. But the problem with getting him is we lose a lot of our cap space. And this is where I wish Washington. I personally in the draft hope Washington trades down. I hope we trade with Pittsburgh, and if Pittsburgh trades us first, and they give us their second and third, I'll be completely happy with that. This is the most talented draft probably in NFL history, and we have the least amount of draft picks we had in a long time. I think Washington would be in their best interest to trade down. I still think we can get a pretty good receiver at 20. I mean, it might not be the one we want. I've done some mock drafts, and Chris Olave has fallen, and that seems to be who Ron loves. But Ron is also a person who wants to get the guy he wants, regardless of where the position is, which is good because he sticks by his guns. But it's bad because if the guys, like for example, Jamin Davis wasn't rated to be where he was drafted last year. He was rated to be like near the end of the first round, maybe early second. And I think Ron reached for him. He probably could have traded back and got him. And you also have to have someone that's willing to trade with you. So we don't know if they tried that or not. So that's just my 2 cents on the middle linebacker position. I think we'll get one in the second round. I thought we would make a big swing at Bobby Wagner, but seeing the money that he got from the Rams, I can see why we didn't get Bobby Wagner. We probably just didn't have the cap space. I love how all these other teams magically have all this space and cap space, and Washington can't figure out how to get people signed. We can't even sign our own guys, much less. I don't know. I don't know why we can't find a way to get guys signed. Now I understand a lot of teams are pushing that money forward so that future GMs and future teams have to deal with a lack of money. I think that's what it is. Saints are notoriously bad for that. Whenever they're trying to go all in and win last couple of years with Drew Brees, and they did it again this year, they were like $40 million under the cap or something like that, or $40 million over the cap, and they're still signing players somehow. So I don't know if there's like some kind of, maybe Washington is just one of those teams that's not pushing that money forward, and they're one of the few teams not. It's possible. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Why as a GM would you conserve the money now when in 3 years you could not be here? Whereas if you don't take all the risks now, you're not going to be here in 3 years. Who cares if there's $40 million in 5 years from now tied up in players that were signed during your regime if you're not there anymore? So I guess that's what the thought process is. I don't know if Washington's in that situation where we need to be going all in getting players to win now. Maybe it's like the next 3 years is our window, or maybe next year's our window. I don't know. I think Washington's a good enough team we can compete. I think Wentz definitely gives us a chance. The question really to me is going to be our defense. I'm not concerned about our offense. Our offense was not great, but it was okay last year whenever Scott Turner figured out how to run our offense. Run it through Gibson, run the ball a lot, and then we play off the run game. We had a top offensive line, and I didn't think he ran the ball enough personally. I know statistically, apparently he ran the ball a decent amount. I don't think he ran the ball enough. I think you got to like force feed the ball to our running backs. That's just me personally. I think you control the tempo of the game. And a lot of times when we run on that 4-game winning streak, it wasn't us blowing teams out. We played the game to where we kept the game close and we played to our strengths and won. That's how we won the football game. We didn't play excellent defense. We played okay defense, but we didn't play the greatest defense. I mean, hell, that was the span of the season. And I think Chase Young was out and Montez Sweat was out for a while too. So, yeah, it's a good question. It's definitely a good idea, Patrick. We definitely want to go middle linebacker. That'll be, to me, it's a second round. I think we'll address it in the second round. We've already apparently Ron's already met with Chad Muma, so I think that's what we're gonna get. He's very athletic. I've seen some game film of him. He's very good. Problem is, it's kind of a way. It's hard to really judge him, and the reason why what I mean by it's hard to judge him is he does not. It's hard. What I mean by that is hard to judge him because he's not playing the greatest talent. That's what I mean by that. The talent he is playing is, I don't want to say it's mediocre talent, but it's not the cream of the crop. You're not playing Pac-12 talent. You're not playing SEC talent. You're playing. You're still playing decent talent. Don't get me wrong, but you're not playing the cream of the crop. In the Mountain West Conference, I think is what it is. So, good question, Patrick. Anyone else have a question? If you don't have a question, I'll just talk about topics of relevant. I'll get a little further. I do want to say my condolences and RIP to rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins. I personally was someone I did not want to draft, honestly, but that doesn't mean anything about like I never wanted him to pass from this world. My condolences go out to him and his family. And I'm sorry to hear. I'm very shocked to hear that this morning. Very shocked to hear that. Twitter is kind of my engine that feeds me a lot of information like that. So about people in wanting to trade back to get their guy. I mean, I'm Jay Martell. Thank you for joining. I am one of those people that wants Washington to trade back. I want to trade back. Maybe Pittsburgh because they're looking to get a quarterback. I want to trade back, and I want to get. Not that it would be a bad move, but I don't really think we need to trade back. I personally, Jay Martell, think we should. I think we should trade back. I think this is a very talented draft. You can get starters at as late as the 4th round, and we have some holes we need to fill. I think here's what I think. I think the offensive line is pretty solid. Honestly, we did draft a receiver. I think we're pretty solid there as long as Curtis Samuel's healthy, but you can't rely on that. So they're probably going to draft a good receiver just to be safe. I honestly think we do have a good receiving core. If De'Ami Brown is our 3rd receiver, we're solid. But he's not a 3. He's not a second receiver. He's a 3rd option in receiving wise. That's just like Cam Sims is not a 3rd option. He's a 4th option. Okay, he's good at taking the 4th best receiver defender and doing well against him. He's not a number 2. He played number 2 the last couple of years in situations. I think Washington should trade back. The reasoning why is they're probably going to get a receiver 1st round. There's Garrett Wilson. There's I think it's Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, David London. Drake London. Those are 3 very good receivers. Those are 4 very good receivers that Washington could still get by 20. And I think you get any one of those, you're still going to improve our offense. Our offense has a top offensive line. Yeah, I know Brandon Sheriff is gone, but statistically, and I know a lot of statistics, and you got to take them with a grain of salt. Statistically, Wes Schweitzer did better, or just as good. He did just as well as Brandon Sheriff. So Wes Schweitzer is going to fill that offensive guard, right guard slot. And we signed a guy to replace Eric Flowers, who is just as productive as Eric Flowers. And we still have our right tackle, our left tackle, and our center. I think we're going to be pretty solid. And I think we just need to commit more to running the ball. And I think we trade back because we can get one of those receivers, and then we can also accumulate second picks. I don't know how long you've been on Jay Martell, but I was just telling Patrick that I think we trade back because this is a very talented draft. We don't have cap space. And so by trading back and getting another second and a third, this is the most talented draft ever. We can get players that can actually contribute now and we can have for a few years. We don't have the money because we traded for Carson Wentz. And I think the way you counter that, and this is why a lot of teams do this, they'll trade down and get picks and see if they can find what they need there. We were. You said, Jay, you also can get Gary Wilson. Yeah, we can get Garrett Wilson. I don't mind him. Kyle Hamilton, isn't it? Troy, correct me if I'm wrong. Kyle Hamilton's a safety, correct? I don't think Washington's going to go safety. I really don't. That's my personal opinion. I don't think they're going to go safety. I think they're going to ride with Bobby McCain. Ron is a coach to me who kind of sticks by his guns. A couple years ago, whenever Landon Collins, I don't know if he ruptured his Achilles, tore his ACL. I don't remember which one it was. They had the chance to bring someone in training camp. Was it Eric Berry? It might have been Eric Berry. And Ron said he wanted to bring him in as a backup or like practice squad and for like a week or two ride with the guys that he had in training camp. I think Ron kind of has that same mentality when it comes to guys he drafted. Last year he drafted, is it Derek Forrest or Forrester? I can never get that name right. He drafted them. You got Jeremy Reeves still. I think he's still on the roster. You got Cameron Curl. You got Bobby McCain. I think you're going to – somewhere in that mix. You also have there's one other guy, not Curl. He's a linebacker or hybrid. I can't think of his name right now. But Washington has guys that are. I think Ron's going to try to roll with that. Just like when you look at cornerback, I think Ron's going to try to roll with what he has at corner because he drafted Benjamin St-Juste. He signed Kendall Fuller. He signed William Jackson III. He's going to roll with the guys that he's kind of invested. He's made a decision on. Might be a better way to put that. I don't think Ron likes to be wrong, and I think he likes to ride with it until the last moment where he's wrong. I think that's the way Ron likes to operate. And so I don't think we're going to go safety. I really don't. We might, and then great. But we actually have a starting caliber safety right now. Bobby McCain can start. He might not be the greatest, but he's starter level. And Cameron Curl can probably play that role that Landon Collins plays, where he plays the line more, and Bobby McCain's more of the plays back and lets nothing behind him kind of safety. That's honestly what my personal opinion is on that. I don't think we're gonna go safety. I think we have a more dire need at linebacker right now than we have a need at safety. But good question, Jay. Good question, Troy. Kyle is 2.5 generational compared to Sean Taylor. I mean, there's been guys. I'm not belittling that analysis. A lot of guys have been compared to great players, and as much as I love Sean Taylor, they said the same thing about us signing Landon Collins, that he's the next Sean Taylor for Washington. I'm not belittling Kyle Hamilton. I think Kyle Hamilton's actually way better than Landon Collins ever was. I'm not belittling that. I just think we have a more dire need. We don't need to draft a player. Here's the thought process. We can draft a player to fill a starting position, or we can draft a player where we already have starters. That's like a couple years ago, I thought it was a great idea to trade back instead of drafting another defensive lineman. We have so many defensive linemen now, and we have so much stuff invested in the defense that, like, look at our last handful of first round picks. You have Jonathan Allen, okay? Then you have Deron Payne, and you have Haskins, and then you have Montez Sweat, then you have Chase Young, you have Jamin Davis. So a lot of our picks have been invested in the defense. Defense shouldn't be needing to add another first-round pick and another first-round pick and another first-round pick. We're going to have to, because we need a middle linebacker, because I thought we would sign one, we didn't. So we're going to have to, but we've invested a lot of stuff. Look at the offense. Offense has no first rounders, barely any first rounders on it. Look at our right tackle, Sammy Cosby, second rounder. Wes Schweitzer, I don't know. I'm not sure. I know he's not a first rounder. We'll say that. Chase Roullier was a sixth rounder. Okay. Norwell was undrafted. Norwell, not Norwell. Not Narwhal. Norwell was undrafted. You look at our left tackle, I'm pretty confident he wasn't a first rounder. Terry McLaurin, as much as I love Terry McLaurin, was not a first rounder. Logan Thomas wasn't a first rounder. Antonio Gibson wasn't a first rounder. Nothing. I think we barely have second rounders, other than Carson Wentz was a first rounder. Carson Wentz was a first rounder, but other than that, we don't have any first rounders on the defense. Our offense, I think we need a little bit of help with the offense. But the most dire need right now with this team, right now, we need a middle linebacker. We get a middle linebacker. I think the middle linebacker position puts together the defense. Jamin Davis is not a middle linebacker. He's an outside linebacker. He's very athletic. He has the speed and talent to play middle linebacker. He's just not a field general. As much as I don't like John Bostic got people in the right spots. He got coverages right. He really helped with that. That's why Bobby McCain was re-signed. Bobby McCain does that from the back end. Excuse me. But the middle linebacker slides Jamin Davis to the outside. It slides Cole Holcomb to the outside. And the middle linebacker puts everyone in a position where they are most effective. And playing behind the defensive line that we have right now, it's definitely going to be helpful. And I'm seeing your comment, Jay. Obviously, the team's been synonymous with mostly picking defensive guys in the first round, but I think that narrative changes this year. I do too. I think we get Chris Olave. I think we trade back for him. A lot of mock drafts I've done personally. You can get them around 20. You can get them around 20 or 22. Again, these are online engines. They're not realistic. But I do think, so if you were to drop the middle linebacker, which middle linebacker would you want to cut from this team? I don't think, I might need clarity on that because the linebackers we have now, the only two linebackers we have now that are starting caliber are Jamin Davis, who's I think he's better as an outside linebacker, or make him lose weight and play like the Landon Collins role. And we also have what's his stupid name? What's his name? Cole Holcomb. There we go. So Cole Holcomb is the other option that we have at linebacker. Other than that, I don't think we have any other middle linebackers that are starter caliber right now. I think that's what I think. And then I think we're run a 4-3. So the middle linebacker, we need a middle linebacker to kind of solidify the defense. It's a big gaping hole in our defense. They try to put in Jamin Davis there. Jamin Davis is athletic enough to play it, but he doesn't command the huddle very well. He doesn't command the field and move guys around. That's where the drop-off comes. So Jamin Davis is the exact opposite of John Bostic in that regard. Jamin Davis is probably one of the best athletes to come out of the draft, other than like Kyle Pitts last year. However, the opposite of that, he's not the floor general. He's just an instinct player, just runs and plays. That's basically the best way to put it. And Cole was drafted as a middle linebacker. He was drafted as a middle linebacker, but he plays outside linebacker almost all the time. John Bostic, last couple of years, has been middle linebacker for us. And then last year they tried Jamin Davis. Although Cole Holcomb might play middle linebacker, but he usually plays outside linebacker. And I actually think Cole Holcomb plays better as an outside linebacker. And you give him like half the field, I think he's decent, pretty decent coverage, and he does great at run support. But back to Garrett, your comment. Should we get Olave? Yes, I think we should get. We're going to get a receiver first round. I think that's what it is. I don't think Washington goes out of their way to get. There's not really any defensive other than like maybe Dean. And there's two linebackers I think Washington might get in the first round. Make sure I know their names. Dean and the kid from Georgia. The kid from Georgia would be a late round pick. Same with the kid from Utah. I cannot think of their names right now. Every time I get on the camera, I blank on the names. But I know the two players. I just can't think of the name right now. So those are the things. Sauce Gardner's. Those are players that we could use. They're not bad players. The problem is I totally believe that Ron sticks by his guns. I think Ron 100% is going to stick by his guns. And the guys he's drafted and signed, he's going to kind of ride with them a little bit. That's why I don't think we're going to go. I think we're still going to go receiver just because of the injury. But I think Ron wants to try to ride out the Curtis Samuel situation, see where that goes. I think that's just the way Ron is. I think Ron is a little bit stubborn, and he doesn't like to be wrong. And I think he's going to stick with guys that he's had. And he's going to go other direction. I may be completely wrong. I mean, I'm just speculating. But based on what I've seen with Ron and what I've heard, like, for example, like 2 years ago, whenever Landon Collins tore his Achilles, ruptured his Achilles, and they were going to bring in Eric Berry, but Ron said, Eric Berry, I want you to play practice squad. And Eric Berry's like, no, I'm a starter. It's like, well, I want to ride with Jeremy Reeves and Cameron Curl because they were in our training camp. And then, after a while, I will circulate you in. I'll work you in. And we didn't get Eric Berry because, he stuck by his guys. And I think that's just Ron's personality. I think that's probably why he gets a lot of loyalty from players. So I may be dead wrong, and they may go like Sauce Gardner, or they may go Hamilton. I wouldn't hate either one of them. Don't get me wrong. They're both extremely good players, but I think Washington's going to want to invest a little bit in the offense. And the last offensive player we drafted in the first round was Dwayne Haskins. May he rest in peace. And that didn't work out. And the last one before that was, I believe, Josh Dotson and Brandon Sheriff before that. And none of them are on our team now. So we don't have anyone on our team that we've actually invested in first round pick to get. And like I said, Wentz is a first rounder, but we didn't draft him. We spent 2/3 on him, a third and maybe a second. So, yeah. So, all those players are good players. Don't get me wrong. I would love to have all of them players. And stack our team with very young talent that could be good for be the next Legion of Boom, so to speak. But I think what Ron's going to focus on is receiver to give Carson Wentz the best possible chance to succeed, and he cannot rely on Curtis Samuel being healthy. Unfortunately, he missed all of last year with a tedious injury. So to me, it's a tedious injury. I don't know. I'm not in the guy's mind. I don't know how much it really hurt. But he missed all of last year, and he was one of our biggest signings, and same with William Jackson III. So our biggest signings last year pretty much panned out and did nothing. So actually, are all three of our biggest signings. So Fitzpatrick was the other one. So next question, if someone has one. So with none of our signings working out for us last year, we won 7 games, and at the beginning, I went over a bunch of what I think the Washington could have done if some things would have bounced their way. So Carson Wentz changes that. And I think Carson Wentz changes the draft strategy where you got to get him another good receiver. I think Terry's probably the best receiver he's ever played with. I mean, that might be an argument. I have seen the official schedule. Have I seen the schedule? Actually, I have not seen the schedule. Did that just come out? I'll look into it. Hold on one second. Washington Commanders 2022 schedule. Looking at it right now. Oh, it doesn't have the official schedule yet. Okay. Yeah, what I'm looking at doesn't actually show the schedule. It just shows what games we have. It just shows what opponents we have. 2022 full schedule. Looking it up right now. Yeah, it just says at Chicago, Dallas, so and so. The thing is, last year, the actual schedule, the official schedule, or who we're playing. Jay, I know the list of who we're playing came out. I didn't know the official schedules. I didn't think the official schedule would come out yet. That hasn't come out yet. Only that's come out is who we play, what divisions we play. For example, whenever we traded for Carson Wentz, I listened to the Pat McAfee show a lot. He was talking about if Washington plays Indianapolis. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that. Last year, we went through a gauntlet of very good quarterbacks. A freaking gauntlet of excellent quarterbacks. And we, like I said, we still won 7 of them. We played literally, I think it was back to back. We played Mahomes. We played Mahomes. And then we played Aaron Rodgers, and then we played Tom Brady, played Russell Wilson. We just went through a gauntlet of very good players, very good quarterbacks. You see us winning 8 to 10 games. I think we win more than that. Like I said, we won 7 with a backup quarterback, and our defense wasn't even firing on all cylinders. We had Montez Sweat injured. I think if it wasn't for COVID, we probably would have made the playoffs. I think we would have won probably about 9 games. I think it cost us about 2 games. I think both Eagles games would have been much more competitive. I really do think that. I also think we probably could have beat Dallas the second time. No, wait, second time? Yeah, second time. I think there's a lot of those games would have been much more. I think, and there's a couple ball bounces here and there. We'd have had. If we get off the field, I was at the game against the Chargers last year. We just get off the field on 3rd and 28. We just get off the field on 3rd and 28. We give ourselves a chance to actually beat the San Diego Chargers or the LA Chargers. Like, that's just dumb stuff. Like, dumb stuff like that cost us. I think we had a similar situation where it's like 3rd and 28. We give up a 30-yard pass against Jameis Winston, for example, in the Saints game. If we just get off the field, we have a chance to win the game. Just dumb stuff like that. Like, they should never happen. Okay, and this is why I don't like John Bostic. John Bostic on the play of like 3rd and 28 against the Chargers, he blew his coverage. He just flat out blew his coverage. Just let a guy run right up the seam, catch it, and he got like 33 yards on a 3rd and 28. Just freaking ridiculous. The Dallas game was really in our rich. The first one, I mean, a lot of things bounced our way late, and we had a chance. We were getting our asses kicked, pardon my French. We were getting our asses kicked early. We battled back. Cole Holcomb gets a pick 6, and it's a touchdown game. It's a 6-point game, I think, at that point. And all Washington has to do is they got the ball back, and like I said, if it was not Kyle Allen, I think if Taylor Heinicke was playing in that game, in that last drive, I think we had a chance. I didn't give us a chance at all with Kyle Allen. I did not. As much as Kyle Allen actually, I think, played pretty good in that game, he is not a gamer. He is not it's the last drive of the game. Taylor Heinicke has proven to me that he may not be the best quarterback, but if you have him in a game, like you need, like if it's a game-winning drive or a big moment in the game where you need him, odds are he's going to at least, like he'll die for that play. He'll do what he can for that play. He showed it in the playoffs. He did it a couple times last year. He did it against the Giants. He did it against the Falcons. So he's shown that he is a gamer when it comes to big moments like that. Is he perfect? No, he's not. Is he a franchise quarterback? Absolutely not. I hope he's a career backup. I wouldn't mind that at all because I actually really like him. But I think that game specifically, it was ripe for the taking if we had Taylor Heinicke in. I think Kyle Allen played better than Taylor throughout the course of the game, but in the last 5 minutes of the game, I'd prefer personally to have Taylor Heinicke in rather than Kyle Allen. But I think with the improvements we've made compared to the teams that we're looking at on our schedule, I still think we're way better than the Giants. I think the Eagles got lucky against us a lot. I think they caught us right as the COVID thing happened. So they got us both times when that happened. And I don't think Dallas is that much better than us. I think Dallas, they're not well coached. And I think Dak Prescott, he's okay. He's good, but I think he's a little bit overrated. I think they're getting rid of talent around him. Their offensive line's taking some dips because they released some players or that some players retired or whatever. So there's some things that are going down around our division. It's right for the taking. I think Washington can. Then if you look at the rest of our schedule, look at Chicago. Chicago's beatable. I don't think anything great about Chicago. Detroit's beatable. Houston's beatable. Indianapolis is beatable. 49ers are – we'll see how they are. I don't know if this season for the San Francisco 49ers is going to be about Jimmy G's last ride or if it's about getting or trying to see if Trey Lance is what they thought he was. So it's going to be one of those two things. And I don't think either one of them is a great thing, but the team is very well built and very well coached. Like I said, Dallas and Giants. And you have Green Bay. Green Bay is not going to be what Green Bay was last year. Green Bay, you can't pay the quarterback what you're paying the quarterback and have a lot of money left over. So I don't think the team's going to be as good. I think they're still going to be good. Aaron Rodgers is great, but they don't have Devontae Adams now. You don't have a lot of talent around him. There's other talent he had around him that's gone now too. Minnesota, they're okay, but they're not great. Okay, the only games I'm putting on that list are the Eagles and the Indianapolis Colts. Tennessee, I think Jacksonville's definitely beatable. I'm going to finish off the schedule and then I'll reply to that. Jacksonville's not great. Tennessee's okay. But Cleveland is actually, if Desean Watson plays, that might be a tough one. But I don't think Desean Watson's playing. I think he'll be suspended for the entire year. So Cleveland's not going to be too bad. And then Atlanta. I don't think Atlanta's going to be very good either. So I can sit here and say Atlanta. I can honestly say that they're very winnable games are Atlanta, Cleveland. Let's assume Cleveland doesn't have Deshaun Watson. Atlanta, Cleveland, Jacksonville, Giants. It's two Giants games. Houston, Colts, Bears, Detroit. Right that's 9 games. 9 games that, I think Washington go into as slight favorites unless they're away games. Then you got other games that are just going to be battles. I don't think there's any games that teams are just overly we're overmatched or anything. I go into Tennessee thinking if our defensive line's playing good, we make them one-dimensional and force them to be a passing team. I think we got a shot. Against Tennessee. We go into a game against Minnesota. I know how Kirk is. We keep the game close. He's not going to do much in the fourth quarter. I just know how Kirk is. And then Green Bay, I think Green Bay, we've actually had a pretty decent track record against Aaron Rodgers, believe it or not. Washington, for some reason, plays very well against Aaron Rodgers. I don't know why. He's a very good quarterback. He's a very good player. But for some reason, Washington just plays well against Green Bay. I don't know why. But we, for some reason, play very good football against that team. Just like we played pretty good football against 49ers. 2 years ago, we played them in slush at FedEx Field and held them to 9 points. We didn't score anything, but we held them 9 points. And then 2 years ago, when we made the playoffs, Washington, their defense won the game, and our offense didn't do nothing, but the defense won the game. So we seem to do pretty well against that team. Those games are competitive, and I just don't. Indianapolis has had our number. I don't remember the last time we beat Indianapolis. The last time we played them was Alex Smith's actual year. We traded for him. He had a lot of passing yards in that game, but it was all underneath, and we just couldn't get in the end zone. We could not score to save our lives in that game. Just field goals. Like I said, Houston's not great, and I don't think the Bears are that great. I think the Bears got rid of their best defensive player. They're still figuring out. They got a new coach. They're still figuring out what Fields is, and the Deshaun Watson situation was going to be part of my next question. All right, what is the question about Deshaun Watson? I know some people that think Washington should have waited and just tried to go for Deshaun Watson. And for all we know, that was Ron Rivera's plan. But we also, for all we know, Deshaun Watson told them, I ain't never going to Washington, so why waste your time? And then Ron was like, okay, I won't waste my time. I'll go get Carson Wentz. The Deshaun Watson situation. My thoughts on okay, do you think Deshaun Watson will actually have a chance to play this year? I think he will, because what's going to happen is he sat out a whole year last year, and he can use that to his argument that, hey, I sat out all last year, and they'll probably suspend him for 6 games or 8 games, and they'll negotiate down to 4. Honestly, it's probably something like that. I would be very surprised if they suspended him the entire year. It's possible. It's definitely possible. They might want to make an example out of him. But I mean, he is technically on the books for $1 million this year. That's always it's always owed from the Browns this year. I think they paid him a signing bonus, but that's always owned on the books this year is $1 million. So I think they anticipate something like this happening. That team's going to be scary good though. After this season, scary good. They got a very good defensive line. They have good players in the defense. They have a good offensive line. They have the best running back tandem in the league, best 1-2 punch. And they had some good receiving weapons. They're gone now. Now they just have Amari Cooper. They don't have Austin Hooper anymore. So we're gonna have to see how we'll see how that goes. But Desean Watson, I think he might play this year. But it won't be like a whole. It won't be like whole. He might play half the season. It might play half the season if he's lucky. But I've seen players do less and have more games, and I've seen players do worse and have less games. So it's hit or miss, but they'll probably make an example out of him. I guess I can comment on this. I think Washington owner should be forced to sell the team. I think it's just enough is enough at some point. At some point, Washington, the other owners have got to be like, we went toe to toe with them before because I believe that we can try getting them back. Yeah. Back to the conversation. What I was saying about the owner. The owner needs to sell the team. Here's what I think is what's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is they're not going to sell the team. You're going to have, I'm not going to get into politics, but basically a lot of seats in the Senate, in the House, are going to switch. And right now the Senate and the House has a committee that's committed to what's going on in Washington, and you're going to have that change in the next year. So Washington's going to wait it out till the priorities of our Congress change. It's basically the best way to put it. So I don't think they're going to like anything more is going to come of it. At some point, though, what do you think is enough from the NFL where they're like, this guy needs to go? Okay. You have other owners that are just do dumb shit, but they don't have as much dumb shit as Dan Snyder does. He took a franchise that was great and he's run it in the ground, tanked it. He moved a team out of Washington into Maryland. It's not even close to Washington, D.C. now. He is like the team that was like a big draw every year and competitive every year. They haven't been competitive consistently ever since. He's just drugged the name of Washington's into the ground. And because of his shitty ownership, we have to change our name. I'll call a spade a spade. It's exactly what it was. Okay. I'll get on this for 2 seconds. Washington's name, the Redskins. You can argue whether it's offensive or not, but some people it was offensive. Okay. I personally think it was. I'm not getting into my reasons why. But I personally think it was. But if your name is offensive and your team sucks, and the shareholders and people that are making money off the team are looking at it like, listen, we're not making money here, okay? And at least we can't change the fact your team sucks, but we can change the name because that might actually, affect people's wanting to spend money on your product. Okay, that's exactly what happened, and that's why like a bunch of the sponsors pulled out and things like that, and money talks, and that's why we ended up changing our name. If our team never sucked, we might still be the Washington Redskins. If we were still contenders, we were still a powerhouse like we were under the Joe Gibbs, the good Joe Gibbs era, not the one he did in the 90s when he wasn't able to build his team properly and the owner interfered. Our team, we might still have our team name. I mean, I've grown okay. I'm okay with the Washington Commanders. I've grown to be okay with it. Yeah. So at what point is our owner, when is enough enough? He's got sexual assault allegations. He's got work misconduct. Now he's fudging numbers with the NFL to make his debt lower, to buy out all of his other owners. Like, at what point is enough enough? Yeah, so, all right. What time is it? 8:11. Okay. Keep on coming with the questions. I got 6 people on right now, and I got 1 person asking questions. So let's get everyone else involved. This is fun. I love doing these. I love it. I love talking football. Give me a basketball question. I had some fun posts on Twitter today about LeBron James. The GOAT debate is over, in my opinion. But if you want to question about that, go for it. And I'll give us time again. If you weren't on earlier, my Twitter account is Commander J Plank, capital C, Commander, and capital J and capital P for Plank. Commander J Plank. So, all right. And I got a lot of people. Okay. All right. So, retweeting that, liking that. All right. Next question. Who did you want to win the NCAA tournament? I did not want either. I mean, of the teams that were in the Final Four, I guess Kansas. I don't like any of those teams. I don't like. I went to WVU, so Kansas is technically in our conference. So I guess I'm one of them. I don't like Duke. I don't like UNC. I hate Villanova. I hate anything to do with Philadelphia. Villanova's in Philadelphia. I like their style of play, though. I really enjoy the way that their offense flows. But so we let DeAndre Sanders go. Should we have let DeAndre Sanders go? Should we have let DeAndre Sanders go? That's a tough question. Okay, DeAndre Carter. I was like, I thought maybe you were referring to Deion Sanders, so that's why I was like, did we let him go? Or did he retire? So I was DeAndre Carter. I don't think we wanted to let him go. I think he just wanted money. I didn't think he wanted to go anywhere else. Here's the thing, like Ron gave him a very small contract and said, hey, make a name for yourself. And lo and behold, he did. Same thing with J.D. McKissick. J.D. McKissick, he got a very small contract from Washington initially, and he got 2 years to make it happen, make himself look good, and he did. And DeAndre Carter, I think he started with the Chargers. That was solely about money. I don't think he wanted to go anywhere else. I don't think he had any issues with Washington. I think that was solely about money. And I honestly, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. I mean, he needs to make money. I mean, I can't tell anyone else how they can make their own money. I know I make my money. I'll make my money, and no one can tell me how I can and cannot make my own money. So I think it makes the most sense. And well, I'm on Twitter right now for 2 seconds. All right. All right. Now I'm back. Okay. All right. Next question. Who I actually thought maybe Wisconsin might be their year. It seems to be that I thought Wisconsin. I thought it might be Wisconsin year. I can't stand any of those 4 teams. I don't like Kansas. I don't like the big schools. I root for the little guys, I guess. And Wisconsin's not exactly a little school when it comes to basketball, but they had a good chance a couple years ago, and they lost. So I was hoping maybe Wisconsin's to be the year, but nah. And like I said, I don't think we let go of DeAndre Carter. I think Washington basically it's kind of the same thing with J.D. McKissick. They said, J.D. McKissick, go see what the market is. If you can get more money, go ahead. But if not, we want you back. That's basically what it was. And the money that the Chargers were willing to give him, I don't think Washington was going to match. Or I think DeAndre Carter, it was one of those, like, if you walk out, the contract goes away. One of the things. So he agreed to it. So, yeah. Everyone who's on, comment who you think's. I don't know if anyone follows basketball, but is anyone excited about the USFL? Their first preseason game was actually today. The Maulers versus, I think it's the Stallions. I'm very excited about the USFL. As dumb as that's going to sound, I am very excited about the USFL. I like football. I don't care if it's youth league football, or I care if it's youth league. I don't care if it's high school football. I don't care if it's college football. The last few years, years, I thoroughly enjoyed the AAF when it was a thing, Alliance of American Football. I really enjoyed it. It was sloppy football, but still football. There's some big hits. I thought some of the team names were pretty cool. The Orlando Apollos was my favorite team. USFL plays similar to like their overtime style. It's kind of like XFL, honestly. It's more like the XFL. They have similar rules to the XFL where as long as it's behind the line of scrimmage, it's not considered a forward pass. So you can throw the ball multiple times as long as it's behind the line of scrimmage. But I'm excited about the USFL because I like football. I don't care what I used to watch arena football with Tom on Spike TV. I really like football. I don't care what kind of football it is. So when the XFL came out, we had the Washington Defenders, which, by the way, is the crappiest name ever. Washington Defenders. Like, change that to the Red Tails or something. Like, the names that we didn't pick for Washington football team, the Washington Commanders, freaking put that somewhere else. Put one of those names in those leagues. USFL, they retain the rights to the Washington Federals. So I think they'll get that. But I think there'll be a branding or red, white, and blue branding with that team. Do you think the XFL, The Rock, is going to recruit Colin Kaepernick to be a quarterback on one of their teams? I honestly don't know. I think the XFL will try to pull the best available players. That's the best way I'll put that. And I think Colin Kaepernick is trying to get back in the NFL, so we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think they had a chance. I think the original the XFL came out like 2 years ago before COVID happened. They had a chance and they didn't get him, just like they had a chance for Johnny Football, didn't get him. So I don't know what kind of players the XFL is going for. I know that I think they have an agreement with the Canadian Football League to get a lot of players out of there and have like something like that. But they're also like The Rock is working with the NFL to try to be like their D League, so to speak, their minor league, so to speak. So I don't know. Maybe the angle for the XFL is young college players who weren't on a practice squad roster for the actual NFL, or this is their development league, which I think is a great idea. But I think the NFL treats college as that, and it's cheap. They don't have to pay anything to the college leagues. College makes money off of the NFL's development league. So I think that'd be a great idea. And also the XFL allows kids to come right out of college or right out of high school and play. Do I think that's a great idea? In some positions, no. In some positions, yes. My favorite player on the Commanders, it's Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is my favorite. That might be a better question. Who's my least favorite player? That might be a better question. I like a lot of players. I've had this channel for a couple years now, and a couple years ago, when we would play the Eagles, I would rave about Carson Wentz. Like, he has a lot of good things about him. That guy can shake off a tackle. He's 6'6", 250, 240, shake off a tackle and flick the ball 50 yards to the air on the dot to a guy down the middle and shake off like our big defensive lineman. So who would be my least favorite player? I think for a while it was Brandon Sheriff for sure. For a long time it was Brandon Sheriff. For a very long time I actually didn't like Kirk Cousins. I was not a fan of Kirk Cousins at all. I'm trying to think. I'm going through all the players in my mind and seeing who I dislike the most for Washington player. I'd say Troy Apke. I don't know why he's re-signed to this roster. Honestly, my least favorite guy on the Commanders Washington football team would be Jeremy Sprinkle, the guy we would not even catch a cold in the winter time at 0 degrees. You're not wrong there. I didn't like Jeremy Sprinkle. The problem with this is like the problem with the Jay Gruden era, which I'm one of the few people that didn't hate the Jay Gruden era. The era before Jay Gruden was way worse, and I think people forget about that. Now, that's not a high standard, don't get me wrong, but we improved under Jay Gruden, and we capped out at a certain spot. But Jeremy Sprinkle was one of those guys that we drafted, and he came on the field, and we knew the other team knew exactly what we were doing. We were running the ball. to whatever side Jeremy Sprinkle was lined up on. He telegraphed the entire offense very poorly. And I'm sorry, I don't care how good a blocker he is. I don't care how good a blocker he is. If you can't, like, as a tight end, just play him at defensive tackle or an offensive tackle or just another lineman or something for goal line. But if you're a tight end, part of your job is to catch the football. Okay? Like, seriously, you could have played him at, like this is a horrible example, but you could have played him at left tackle, and Trent Williams could have played tight end. He's more athletic, and he can catch the ball much better than Jeremy Sprinkle ever was. But Jeremy Sprinkle, you're not wrong. Jeremy Sprinkle is very bad. He's not a Washington Commander anymore. He's not a Washington football team player anymore. But he was definitely one of my least favorite players for a long time. Your least favorite is Kyle Allen. Well, he's not on the team anymore. They did not re-sign him. They did not pick up his restricted free agent signing, so he's not on the team anymore. So, yeah, be happy about that. I wasn't a big fan of Kyle Allen either. Nothing against him personally. I just didn't think he was a good quarterback. I think I just don't think he was that good. I think there were a lot of games he easily could. He had a lot of opportunities when he played. Ron's first year, he had a lot of opportunities when he played to really showcase himself, and he did some dumb stuff. Just played some dumb stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think he was better the year that, and I don't mean to talk ill of anyone dead, but the year Haskins started, and then we end up going to Kyle Allen and Alex Smith. I do think Kyle Allen was our best option at that point. I think Alex Smith commands more respect from people, from his peers. So I think that's where Alex Smith was better than Allen, but Allen had a better arm. He was more mobile. He knew the offense better. But yeah, nothing against him personally. I just didn't like him. I just didn't see the point. We gave up a 6th-round pick for him when the Carolina Panthers are probably going to cut him anyway. So I get you. I don't get why. I don't like the circumstances in which we got him. That's like example would be I didn't like the circumstances initially whenever we got Carson Wentz, because we not only did we have to pay his whole $28 million salary, we also had to give up 2 draft picks. Okay, and one of them was in this year's draft, which is like the best draft, one of the best drafts ever. So, but I've come around to it because now the monkey's off our back, so to speak. Like, we don't have to worry about getting a quarterback. We have a quarterback. Now we just got to worry about putting our quarterback in the best position to succeed. So no one else is excited about the USFL as much as I am. Okay. The XFL. So here's what's supposed to happen is the XFL is supposed to be played right after Super Bowl. The XFL starts up, and then the XFL ends around. It starts in like the second week of February. So there'll be like 10 weeks of games. So that's February, March, around the end of April, and then the USFL will start, and that goes into the summer. So I would love that. I would love football all year round. The worst free agent signing defensively for you. For Washington, it's Albert Haynesworth. It's not even close. Josh Norman at least was semi-productive. Did we overpay for him? Sure. Here's where Josh Norman's is bad, but it's not as bad as Albert Haynesworth. Josh Norman is bad because we signed a zone corner, and then we played man the entire time we had. That's just like this year. This is what irritates me about Washington. We always do this. We signed William Jackson III, who is a man-to-man cover corner, and we had him playing zone. That does not make sense to me. Albert Haynesworth, we did the same exact thing. But we didn't give Albert Haynesworth gave way more money to than Josh Norman we did. Albert Haynesworth, when he was successful with the Titans, it was when they played a 4-3, and he was one of the defensive tackles, and he basically faced no double teams the whole time because they're playing a 4-down lineman. He rarely ever faced double teams. And when we signed him, we switched to a 3-4, and we forced him to play nose tackle, whatever you call it. And he was getting double teamed every play, and that eliminates his effectiveness. I'm sorry, it does. It eliminates your effectiveness when you're used to playing a 4-3, and you got to go from, you just got to play a gap and go upfield and cause havoc. Now you have to take on double teams and hold your ground. It's a completely different strategy. and completely different style of play. That's like the talent Washington's had the last few years. I thought we should have switched to a 4-3 a long time ago. With the talent under Jay Gruden's team, the type of players we had, with the type of injuries we even had, Washington should have switched to a 4-3. But Albert Haynesworth is by far the worst free agent signing we've ever had. Josh Norman's is not. It's bad. Josh Norman's is not as bad as we think. Josh Norman was very productive. Josh Norman had a lot of fear to go towards him, a lot, and a lot of times quarterbacks didn't look his direction. And you can near the end of his tenure here, they did, but a lot of times his first couple years here, they didn't even look his direction. And I don't hate Josh Norman, but I don't like the fact that we signed him and then we're playing man. Like, sign guys that are their skill set fits our scheme. That makes way more sense to me. But Josh Norman was a zone corner who was very good at zone. That's like Richard Sherman was a zone corner, and that would, like, someone signing him say, "Hey, go follow this guy around the field." Like, that's not what I do. I take away this third of the field, and I'm very good at that. Like, you don't sign Darrelle Revis and say, "Hey, go play a zone. Go play a zone flat over there," instead of go cover the other guy's best receiver. So I think Josh Norman, that was a product of that. Albert Haynesworth, though, was just a fat piece of shit who didn't work out. He used once he got his money, he just stopped working out. He stopped trying. That's the best way to put it. I don't think Josh Norman had ever happened. In the year under Jay Gruden where Alex Smith, the year he played, he got hurt, our defense was very good, and a lot of that attitude came from Josh Norman and DJ Swearinger. Kind of like they had a mentality that I think the rest of the team just kind of adapted and picked up, so to speak. I'm going to watch the Houston Gamblers once this season starts. Yeah, me too. I'm going to try to watch every game. There's only 4 games. So they're going to have 2 on a Saturday and 2 on a Sunday. So it should be able to watch every game. So I hope so, at least. Should be able to watch every game. Yeah, so I hope so. I don't know how many people do this. Google Washington Federals. The USFL was a thing in like the 70s, and the Washington Federals, I do not think we're going to have those colors. I wouldn't hate it if they did. It's black and green. They're pretty cool. But I've seen some remakes of them where they're red, white, and blue. They're pretty cool. So Washington Federals would be my team if we have that. Right now, I guess it's Pittsburgh Maulers. I hate Pittsburgh, but yeah. What do I think about Chase Young? I think Chase Young's a good player. Last year, I have a video on this channel. If you want it, I'll link it to you. That showcased why our defense was not succeeding last year. Basically, the best way to put it is if you're lining up 4-down linemen, everyone's supposed to play a lane and go straight forward, and you're going to get sacks just by playing lanes. Chase Young and Montez Sweat were both going very wide. They were over pursuing, and quarterbacks should just step up and step out in the lane that they're supposed to be in, and they could extend plays, and that killed us a lot early season. So that's the issue Washington was having. We weren't disciplined. Jonathan Allen was hinting at a lot. Even Ron was hinting at a lot. But I think Chase Young, he's a generational talent, but he needs to be more disciplined. I think this is where maturity comes in. You got to be mature enough to know that you just can't bully everyone. You can't it's the NFL. In college, you could bully everyone. In college, you were the best athlete on the field 99 times out of 100, probably 999 times out of 1,000. You were probably the best athlete on the field. The NFL, everyone's the best athlete on the field. Everyone's a great athlete. You're not going to bully people. People are going to scheme better to negate you if you're going to be undisciplined. If you're going to have tendencies, people are going to expose that. It's the NFL. So I think Chase Young, I think this last year humbled him. I think hopefully it humbled him. I will say that. I hope it humbled him. But fantastic player. I hope we hang on to him for a long time. He is a generational talent, and last year was a very subpar year for him. And like I said, the reason why is he was very undisciplined. He didn't stay in his lanes. There's a lot of games where you can watch it, and that would have been just a coverage sack or a lane sack. But having the interior lineman like Orton settle, yeah, not having Matt Ioannidis and Tim Settle are definitely going to hurt us. That's why I think this is another reason why I trade down is we need to get a defensive lineman or two. I've done some mock drafts where I've traded down and get one in like the second round if we get it down to the second rounder, and we get another one in like seventh round just to build depth. I'm very surprised we actually let go of both Matt Ioannidis and Tim Settle. It would make sense if we got rid of one, not the other. But to me, it did not make any sense to get rid of both. And honestly, we got rid of both, and we have not signed anyone to replace them. That to me is very concerning. Unless we have a plan. I mean, Ron does future think. He does think ahead. I'll give him that credit. But I don't think we've done enough to get depth. We got a guy from Carolina, another Carolina guy. But he's more of a defensive end. We have defensive ends. We have outside linebackers that can play defensive end. That's not our issue we're having. The issue we're having is we are Jonathan Allen and Jerron Payne, one of them getting injured away from playing a defensive end at defensive tackle. Now, I don't know if you guys remember much about the Jay Gruden era. The Jay Gruden era, we had a lot of issues because we never had a true defensive tackle when we played a 3-4. We had Matt Ioannidis, he's probably more of a 4-3 defensive tackle, or in a 3-4, he's probably more defensive end. He's more of that player, but he was just it helped him because he grew so much from that. I mean, think about this for years. For years, we had Ryan Kerrigan playing outside linebacker. This is how mismanaged Washington has their players. Last year, Washington had Ryan Kerrigan. We finally had him playing a 4-3, and all he had to do was sack. And he barely played any. Like, he didn't play a lot, and he had decent amount of sacks in the very few amount of time he played. He is our all-time sack leader, and he played out of position for all but 1 year of his career for the most part. That's how dumb Washington is at like managing their players. So Washington, I think Washington right now, they're going to draft a defensive tackle in the second or third round. Like I said, this is why we need to trade back. We have so many things we need to fill. We have not re-signed Jerron Payne. Right now, Jerron Payne is not going to be on our roster after this season. So either we're going to extend him, or we're going to draft some guys to replace him or fill the gaps until we extend him. I don't know. I thought keeping Tim Settle would have helped. I thought keeping Matt Ioannidis would have helped. We cut those guys. We didn't do a lot with that money. So I'm curious about that. So, all right. So, all right. I don't know how many people here watch the NBA, but who do you think's going to win the NBA championship? Anyone got any guesses on that? I think who's the reigning champs right now? It's the Bucks. Now I got to think about this one. I think the Heat got a chance. I think a lot of teams got a chance. I don't think 76ers are going to do it. The Nets may not even make the playoffs. They're going to make the playing game, but they're not going to make the playoffs. Lakers are out of it, thank God. I can't stand the Lakers. I can't stand LeBron either. Any more questions about sports? Where do the Wizards stand right now? Wizards right now they lose their next two games. I think they're in the 8th seed to get in the lottery. They're the 8th option to get the lottery. Phoenix Suns, who are my pick last. Okay. Phoenix Suns, I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that. I want Chris Paul to get a title. I would not hate that one bit to see the Phoenix Suns win a title. I'll talk about that for 5 minutes. I haven't watched as much basketball this year. I have a child, and my wife doesn't like basketball as much. She lets me watch football because she likes football. But last year I watched the finals on my phone a lot, and I thought that the Suns were getting all their shots were hard. They were getting hard contested looks They had the worst. They were just the hardest, most difficult shots ever, and the Bucks were getting easy looks left and right. That's the best way I can put it. As an observer of the games, it seemed like I think his name's Budenholzer, was getting the Bucks easy looks all the time. Do I watch baseball? I watch the Nationals when they're in the playoffs, and that's about it. Baseball doesn't pace well with me. I like it live because I can get drunk, but I do like it live. I'm not the biggest fan of baseball. But I do watch. I did really thoroughly enjoy watching the Nationals in the World Series. That was probably one of the best experiences most excited I've ever been watching baseball in my life was watching the Washington Nationals in the playoffs. Most excited I've ever been. Haven't scored any runs. I don't follow baseball that close. I just know it was very exciting to watch them in the playoffs. Yeah, Suns. Who would I want to win? Who I think is going to win is one thing. Who do I want? I want Suns to win. Yeah, let Suns win. Maybe the Grizzlies. I want to see someone that hasn't won it before get it. Wouldn't mind seeing Steph Curry get another one without Kevin Durant. That's possible as well. The highlights of my life was watching the Nationals win the World Series. You know what the highlight of my life will be? Watching apparently, I don't remember this. I was way too young. But I was at our last Super Bowl, Washington's, in '92. The '91 Redskins, but in the Super Bowl was in '92. I was at our last Super Bowl. I don't remember it. There's pictures of me there, but I do not remember it at all. So if I could remember that'd probably be the highlight of my life. But the Washington Nationals and even the Capitals win both of them winning championships. Washington for a 2-year stretch had a lot of champions. We had and you can laugh at this if you want, but we had the Mystics, the Washington Mystics, won a title. The Washington Capitals, the Washington Nationals. We actually had a professional. I think the soccer team won too, and then we also had. I don't know how big name this is, but I didn't know this until someone told me. Around the same time, there was a professional duels men's tennis team that won a national championship or something, all in DC, and this was all like in a 700-day span that all this happened, or like 2-year span or whatever. So the only thing is, like, the Washington Wizards need to get their shit together. And the Washington Redskins, we have a good history. Like, we have a better history than all those other teams combined when it comes to championships. You got the Washington Valor from the Arena Football League. Is it possible to live in Maryland if you work a blue collar? I mean, I live, so a little bit about me. So now we're getting off football, but I'll tell you, I'm from originally Reston, Virginia. That's where I was born. Mom and dad were both Washington fans. They moved to Western Maryland. So if you look at Maryland, the farthest west, right next to West Virginia, that's where I'm from. It's called Garrett County. It's very rural. A lot of blue collar stuff. I live in Pittsburgh now. Work took me there. I lived in Philly for a while for work. Hated it. I hated Philly. I never want to go back. I've been offered jobs there, making a lot of money, and I just don't want to go back. But now I live in Pittsburgh. I don't know if I don't work I don't work a blue collar job, so I can't. I'm a manager for Xfinity. That's the best way to put it. I'm a store manager and about to be a district manager, but store manager for Xfinity. Is it possible? Yeah. You got the Washington Valor for Arena Football. I don't like did the Washington Valor. Okay, so you brought up Jay Martell. You brought up Washington Valor. Did they win a title in Arena Football in the last couple of years? Is that like tying into all that? Because I didn't know that Washington had an Arena Football League. Honestly, I honestly didn't know that. I would love to watch that. I love football, so. But yeah, we're all way off topic of Washington. Is there any questions about Washington? I'll keep answering questions about everything, but But is there any other questions about Washington? And to answer your question, Garrett, I do think there is. I think you can live in Maryland if you work a blue collar job. Western Maryland specifically. I don't know. I think cost of living is very pricey once you get past Washington County. Washington, Allegheny, and Garrett County are the three counties that you could probably do that in. Once you start getting towards like the Chesapeake Bay, it gets very pricey. Is it? They did in 2019, I believe. Okay, so then yeah, there's a lot of champions that came out of the DMV in that area that were basically the Washington teams. So yeah, that's a lot of championships. And the Washington football team, Washington Commanders, whatever we'll call them. I hope we get one soon. We do play, and I don't care what anyone says, and I have to argue this all the time. We have the best division in football. You can say what you want; it may not be tough right now, but in the history of the league, we have only division with 4 Super Bowls. Every team that won a Super Bowl, our division. The only team, the team with the most Super Bowl appearances, our division. The team with the most Super Bowl wins, our division. So historically, we have the best division by far. If we don't do well this season, do you think Rivera will be fired? No, I don't. I think Rivera does a pretty good job of pulling the attention from Dan, because Rivera is actually a pretty, I would say he's a huge, like, high profile coach hire, but he does a pretty good job drawing attention away from Dan. I think Dan is going to give him 5 years. I think he's going to give him the full 5 years. I think there's this. I don't think decisions Rons have made have cost us games. I think other things have cost us games. I don't think Ron is the issue with our team. I think there are some issues Ron has to address, but I don't think Ron is the issue. Just like I don't think, and you can disagree with me, I don't think Jay was the issue. I think Jay came here to coach, and he got forced into doing a bunch of other things, and he never got a chance to actually pick the people on his team. He's basically every year he never had he wasn't allowed to make any decisions on player personnel. I think Jay Gruden was very handcuffed, and I'm actually one of the people that wanted Jay Gruden hired. And the reason why I wanted him hired initially, because he was the offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Cincinnati Bengals did a lot of things where they moved tight ends around to create mismatches. And I just thought the offense flowed very well. And Andy Dalton wasn't a great quarterback. He was okay. He wasn't good, bad. He was okay. And he did a lot of things to create mismatches that I like. I like the next level thinking on that. We hired him, and I thought we should have hired him as an offensive coordinator, but we hired him as a head coach. And now he can't just focus on the offense. He's actually focusing more on all the team stuff. And I think that's where he went. I think that's where Jay Gruden went wrong as a coach. I think he should just focus on the offense. Had like someone in charge of like challenges, time clock management, all that stuff, and he should just focus on the offense. But he had to oversee everything. I think he tried to overstep his bounds, and that's why he didn't. He did okay. Like I said, like before the Jay Gruden era, we sucked for years. We were not doing very. We had one good season under Shanahan. Now was the season with RG3's rookie year. And if you look past that, and if you look at the entire Jay Gruden era, after like his first year, he did pretty well after that, consistently compared to that. It's not great, but compared to that. And that's like that might just be like kind of sad as a Washington fan, because we're saying that his like mediocre to 8-7-1 and 9-7, those things were drastic improvements. It's kind of sad, honestly. But Ron, last couple years, last 2 years has been just about the same. So we're gonna see, but I don't think Ron will be fired up this year. I think after the 4th year, he might be, because this year he's gonna have an actual franchise quarterback. And what can you do with a franchise quarterback? At least in my mind, some people may not like him, may not like Carson Wentz. So, but in my mind, he has a franchise quarterback. What can you do with a franchise quarterback? He had a not franchise quarterback his first year with Dwayne Haskins and Alex Smith and Kyle Allen. So that wasn't really a situation. And then also Taylor Heineke. And last year, he never even got to have. He had what's his name on the field for 16 plays. Fitzpatrick. So he had to play an entire year with a backup quarterback, and still won 7 games. How do you replace Brandon Sheriff on the O-line, and how do we replace Matt Ioannidis on the D-line? So Brandon Sheriff, I believe Brandon Sheriff has already been replaced. He was replaced by Wes Schweitzer. I think, like I said, statistically, Wes Schweitzer, according to Pro Football Focus, was a better graded guard than Brandon. So we're moving on from that. And how do we replace Matt Ioannidis on the defensive line? I think we draft one. I think we draft someone, or we're going to wait till someone gets cut last minute and sign them to a cheap deal. This is the kind of the curse, so to speak. Andrew Norwell replaced Eric Flowers, Eric Flowers. We cut him, saved ourselves $10 million. And then we signed Andrew Norwell to, I don't know how much it was. I think it was like half of it, $4.5 million or something like that. How do you replace? So Brandon Sheriff is already replaced. Matt Ioannidis is not. And Matt Ioannidis played 60% of our snaps, and I think Tim Settle played a good 50% of our snaps. So those guys ate up a lot of minutes. I think this is why, again, I think we're gonna trade back. I think we trade back and we get extra picks, and we're gonna spend that on defensive tackle. I think we're gonna get 2 defensive tackles in this draft, but we need to get more draft capital to do that. I think we're gonna draft a tight end. I think here's the order in which I think we're gonna draft. Iron gets crappy defensive coordinators. Ncaa. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Tane. Tone. I think it's Tone. If I get it wrong, I'm sorry. To answer the question first with Matt Ioannidis, I think we're going to trade back, and here's what we're going to do in the draft. I think we go wide receiver. We're going to trade back and get a wide receiver. We're going to accumulate a second and a third. In the second round, we're going to get a defensive lineman, and we're also going to get Chad Muma. The first round will be a receiver, and I hope it's Chris Olave. Second round, we're going to trade back, and we're going to get Mathis from Alabama. I've seen some drafts where he falls. Hopefully that's where he falls. But there's other guys available, but he's the best one that I've seen that we could potentially get falling to that part of the draft. Chad Muma. And then we're going to get a tight end somewhere in the draft. I like Ruckert from Ohio State, and I also like Kolar from Iowa State. Both of them would do very well. We need a tight end. I don't know. People don't like the tight end. Don't like the draft tight end, but we need him. Logan Thomas is not going to be healthy. So those are like kind of our must-haves. We need at least one defensive lineman. It's not a first-round pick priority, but it's a priority. We need a receiver. We got to give Carson Wentz as many weapons as possible. If we go all in and Carson Wentz doesn't do well with us giving him weapons and they're all healthy or something, then we know he's not the guy. We can cut him. We can move on after this year. If not, what if we win 12 games next year and Carson Wentz throws for 4,500 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, and only has like 15 interceptions? That completely changes the narrative on Carson Wentz. And now we know that this is our guy. Now we got to focus on these other holes. So that, I think, receivers first. You got to give. Okay, you just bought a house. You got to go get insurance. Okay, you just got a quarterback. Now give them weapons. Okay, because you can't rely on Curtis Samuel. Then you're going to get a linebacker. You're going to get a defensive lineman to give depth to your defensive line. We have a lot of defensive ends. We need defensive tackle specifically. And then we're going to fill just other parts of the team, probably tight end. And then after that, it's just filling holes wherever Ron sees fit. I think we get 2 defensive tackles. I think last year we got 2 defensive ends / outside linebackers. So I think that'll be a good option. Jay Gruden hurt himself by hiring crappy defensive coordinators. I don't know if it's so. I don't think Jay Gruden hired those defensive coordinators, first off. I think Washington should have gone out of their way to hire Rex Ryan to run their defense. That was what I thought would have fixed Washington a long time ago. He did very well with the type of talent Washington had on the defensive line, and he could have done very well with our secondary. But yeah, our defensive coordinator sucked under Jay Gruden. I don't think that was 100% him. I really don't. I think think he was. I don't think Jay Gruden had the power Ron has. Ron has a lot of power. I don't think Jay Gruden had that power. And I think that was kind of Ron's the pitch that got Ron. It was like, hey, we have not given coaches power before. We're going to give you power here, and that's. I think the buck stops with Ron. The buck did not stop with Jay Gruden. The buck stopped with Bruce, and then it kind of stopped with Dan. I mean, they made bad decisions, then ran Jay Gruden out to talk to the media about it, and he had no clue what to do. Okay, so Garrett to replace Andrew Norwell, but he replaced. I'm sorry, I'm catching up with the text. Andrew Norwell replaced Eric Flowers, and then Norman Norwell signed a 2-year, $4.2 million. Okay, I was way off. I had the total amount just about accurate. I think my cat's messing with something. That's why I keep looking back. I think my cat's messing with something. Some Norwell's on it. Yeah, way cheaper deal. So if Flowers made $10 million this year and Norwell made 4.2 over 2 years, is it 4.2 per year or total? If it's total, big savings. That's $8 million in savings. And if you're getting equivalent production, you're good to go there. So, any more questions about Washington? No, and my cat's eating their cat food. That's what it is. While you guys put questions on, I'm going to go grab a drink real quick. I have a water here that I keep drinking out of, but I am itching for some soda. And this is not sponsored by Coca-Cola, so don't. I mean, Mountain Dew wants to sponsor me, or Monster, that'd be perfectly fine with me, honestly. So, all right. Next question. Norwell made 4.2. Yeah, if he made that total, that's huge savings. Because not only is that 2 years, I mean, if you just paid 4.2, that's still $6 million saved. But 2 years, imagine what we'd have to pay Eric Flowers next year if he does well again this year. And he's making $10 million. You got to increase that next year. So Norwell, it was definitely a budget saver. Who do you think we draft at linebacker? I think we draft Chad Muma if we go in the second round. I think we go receiver first round. So if we go linebacker first round, we have, I can never remember their names. Hold on. NFL draft linebackers 2022. I can never remember their names. So the first one is I think it's I'm bringing them up. Hold on. So you got Nakobe Dean from Georgia. Solid first rounder. He's a first rounder. Then you also have Lloyd. I think it's Lloyd from Devin Lloyd from Utah. So those are the two best linebackers in the first round that you're going to get. There are other options, obviously, but I think you have Christian Harris. But I've seen him projected in the second round, so that could be someone we get in the second round as well. Christian Harris. He's a little small to me. Play out. Stop it. Yeah, it's my cat. I prefer Chad Muma. I think he fits our. I like his style of play. If we went first round and got one, I wouldn't be upset, but I would be a little upset because we need, like I said, we spent a lot of picks and things on the first round on the defense. A lot. We haven't spent anything on the offense, so we need to invest some draft capital in the offense. But I want Chad Muma in the second round. That's who I would prefer. Are you okay with our current running backs? I mean, yeah, I like Gibson. I like J.D. McKissick, and I like Jared Patterson. I have like an opinion on our offensive coordinator. I don't like him that much. I don't think he plays to skill sets. I think he kind of does. He kind of tries to fit square pegs in the round holes. And I think he tries to adapt the player to his offensive strategy or his offense. He doesn't cater his offense around his talent very much. You can always tell that whenever you get someone injured, if the offense falls apart. Jay Gruden had like a similar thing whenever he lost Desean Jackson. Instead of changing the offense to suit Jamison Crowder as a second receiver, instead, he moved Jamison Crowder to the Desean Jackson role, and they're completely different players. So it's just he just tried to move him into that role, and I don't think Scott Turner is very good at playing the skill set. I mean, I'll just use an example with Taylor Heinicke this year. Taylor Heinicke, what would have helped the offense a lot is to run a lot of RPOs. Taylor Heinicke can run. He's very mobile. Hell, Kyle Allen's in the game 3 plays against Dallas, and one of the 3 plays he played was an RPO. It wasn't Dallas. It was another. I think it might have been the Saints. And one of the 3 plays he played was a damn RPO. But for some reason, you can never have Taylor Heinicke run an RPO. That's my cat right there. Her name's Cleo. Cleopatra Bigglesworth is her full name. So I don't like Scott Turner. I don't think he's a very good offensive coordinator. I don't think he placates his strengths. I think he tries to be cute. And I think he's trying to get a head coaching job, so he's trying to make himself look good. I think it's more or less what he does. I don't like him. You can agree. If you like him, great. I've heard some people make arguments towards like why he's good, and that's fine. That's your argument. I know what I've seen on film. I know he calls plays that kill momentum consistently. But I'm confident with our running back core. The only thing I could say is I hope Jared Patterson gets a little buffer so he can be our 3rd down back. That is one thing I think we missed out on not having Peyton Barber. Peyton Barber was a very good 3rd down back. If we needed to get on that short yardage back, might be a better way of putting it, not 3rd down back. He was very good at getting those yardage when you needed them on the 3rd and short or whatever, or 4th and short. Do you think Landon Collins will return or no? I don't think there's a big market for Landon Collins. So I think he might return. I think he definitely could be a possibility where he could return. And he could straight up be. I don't not want Landon Collins. I just don't want to pay him the money he was owed. He's not earned a majority of that money, and I think he needs to be real with himself. That Washington paid him a lot of money that he has not lived up to, and that might hurt his ego a little bit. But the best situation for him is to play with Washington in the role Washington had him in last year. I think that's the best option for him because I don't think other teams are going to do that. They're going to sign him to do something that they're not going to put him in the best spot. He got better, and our defense got better when he played in a specific type of role. And I think that's just where he is. And because he's not an every down safety anymore, that he's a certain package safety, he's not going to get the money he thinks he's worth. How can we improve our secondary? I think the biggest issue with our secondary is, one, play players to their strengths. I said it earlier in the stream. Last year, we signed William Jackson III, who is a man cover corner. He was a very good man cover corner for the Cincinnati Bengals. And then we had him play zone. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me at all that we would have our corner, who is a man corner, play zone, just like when we signed Josh Norman, we made him a zone corner play man. It doesn't make sense. It's not their skill set. It's not what they're good at. So I think the biggest we improve our secondary by, one, got to be healthy. I think Ron rolls with his guys. I think Benjamin St. Juice, Kyle Fuller, and William Jackson III are 3 very solid corners, and I think there's they're good, and I think we're just going to build the depth. And then our secondary, I think Ron, again, will stick with his guys. He signed Bobby McCain. I think we still have Jeremy Reeves on the roster somewhere, I think. We drafted Derek Forrest last year, or Forrester. I can never remember his name. I'll look it up while I'm doing this. And then we also have Cameron Curl. So that's our secondary right now. That's the majority of the guys that are going to get minutes. So I don't know how Derek Forrest, for all we know, Derek Forrest, he needed a year to like just, strengthen up, and he's going to be the next thing. Him and Cameron Curl, the next, Cam Chancellor and I can't remember the other person, Cam Chancellor and these are the boom guys. I can't think of their names. Earl Thomas, that's what it is. Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. So for all we know, it's it, but we just don't know. Derek Forrest didn't play a lot last year, so we don't know what to gauge him from. Tone, I agree with you. Third down defense has killed us. There's a handful of games last year where if we just got off the field on third down, we gave ourselves a chance. First game of the year, I was at this game. It was a miserable game. It was like 9 degrees. My daughter, who was at the time, she was 9 months old, was like miserable. So hot. I had to keep leaving, going to the bathroom, and just bringing her in there and putting a cold rag on her head to keep her from like overheating. It was very hot. But in that game specifically, we had like a 3rd and 28, and Justin Herbert right down the seam converts a 33-yard pass. So yeah, 3rd down was big for us. Now later in the season, when we actually started winning some games around midseason, we actually got better at 3rd down. That's a 100% contributor to why we won games later in the season. On top of that, we also ran the ball more. But those are the main contributors. Kyle Hamilton brought up again. If we get Kyle Hamilton, it has to be in the 1st round. I don't think we're going to spend another 1st rounder on defense. Do you believe that starter was being too conservative on 3rd down? Starter. I'll answer the Hamilton one. I think you're going to correct that. If Kyle Hamilton falls to us, do you think we will draft him? No, I don't. And the reason why, like I went over this a little earlier. Thank you for joining the stream, though. A little earlier, I went over that we've spent a lot of draft capital on the defense, and we have one 1st rounder on the offense right now, and that is not even our 1st round pick. It's Carson Wentz. Scott Turner. Do you think Scott Turner was too conservative? Yes, I do. I think Scott Turner was he didn't want it. I think Scott Turner, like I said, I think he has an agenda. I think Scott Turner wants to be a head coach. I think he wants to get that payday that Sean McVay had, and I think he looks at Sean McVay or his father, and he idolizes those things. And like, I want to be that. How do I do that? Well, I need to show that I am creative. So he has these creative plays that he runs and kills momentum. I think he doesn't take chances. I think he wants to make it look like he's the smartest guy in the room a lot. And I think that he prioritized that over scoring touchdowns. Like I said, I don't think in 17 games, and I know he didn't play all 17 games, but Taylor Heinicke, I don't think he ran 10 RPOs. I think there's one game where he ran a decent amount of RPOs. I think that was his choice, though. So there was a handful of games where, I don't think he ran 10 total RPOs all season. RPO would have been a great weapon to open up the running game because it holds the defensive end and even an outside linebacker and opens up a huge gap for cutback for Antonio Gibson or whoever's running the ball. But we never ran it. We never kept defenses honest. I think a lot of times we also, and this may be Taylor Heinicke's fault, but I think we also had a very, very steady cadence for how we snapped the ball a lot. I was watching things on Twitter earlier yesterday, and they were showing how a lot of teams stop us on 3rd down when we're going 3rd and short or 4th and short because we're not mixing up our cadence. So I think Scott Turner's way too conservative. I think he's conservative, period. And I think he's conservative in the wrong way. He does like to pass the ball, but I just don't think he plays to his strengths. I think he plays to what's going to make him look like he's smart. And I think it works because there's people out there that think that he's a great offensive coordinator, and I think that's the goal he wants to do. Do I think Golden is a bust? Well, he's a 4th rounder. I mean, I wouldn't consider him. I don't consider 4th rounders a boomer or a bust. They're 4th rounders. But I just don't think Antonio Gandy Golden. This is kind of why I don't think Malik Willis would have been a good option if Washington was going to go quarterback. You think Gandy Golden a bust or not? Enough opportunity given. I think Gandy Golden is a 4th rounder. I don't think that means you're a bust or not. That means you get a chance, and I just don't think he was good enough. Now this is why I don't think Malik Willis is very good, and this is why I didn't think last year. And I'll go off on a tangent for 2 seconds. I didn't think last year that what's his name, Trey Lance was going to be very good. Trey Lance played in a league where none of the guys he's playing against are going to play in the NFL ever. maybe one or two guys total all year would play in the NFL. And he had only like 4 games where he threw for over 200 passing yards, but he ran for all this stuff. And how I'm contributing that to Malik Willis. Well, the best receiver to come out of like Liberty in years was Gandy Golden, and he's not very good. Malik Willis is playing in a league that's not very good, and his numbers are inflated, and he looks good doing it because everyone else around him is slow and not athletic. He did have some games against some decent, talented teams, but I think that it's hard to judge someone based on that. And I think as high a pick as those players go, like Trey Lance went 3rd overall, and he couldn't beat out Jimmy G last year. And they're not confident in his ability, so they're keeping Jimmy G another year. That's how you can't gauge someone off of what they put on film against bad players. So like a player like Trey Lance or Malik should have gone on lower rounds, like a 3rd or 4th round maybe. Gandy Golden, I had hopes for him. So I thought he'd be a great red zone threat because he's big, he's tall, he's athletic. The problem is he's not fast. He's not physical enough. He can't get off of really good cornerbacks in the NFL. What he should have done, he should have tried to convert himself to a tight end, kind of like a Jimmy Graham type not quarterback, tight end. If I said quarterback, I meant tight end. I'm sorry. He should have tried to convert himself to tight end. I think that would have been better, but he'd had to bulk up a lot. That's just like, was it Kelvin Harmon? They were contemplating moving him to tight end, and he needs to bulk up a lot to potentially do that. So I don't think Gandy Golden is a bust in a sense that 4th rounders aren't really busts, but was he a bust for us? He wasn't what I thought he could be. Let's just say that. I'll say that much. I had higher expectations for. I thought he'd have been a much bigger weapon for us, and he hasn't been. Now, could that be at the fault of what's around him? Sure. If he's drafted and he's pegged to be a 3rd receiver and he's consistently being the 2nd on a team, that could be why. What coach should we get to run the offense? That's a good question. Offensive coordinator that we should get to run the offense. I would say whoever's the offensive coordinator right now for Sean McVay should be our offensive coordinator. He's innovative. He's creative. Honestly, even whoever the offensive coordinator for the Eagles is, I would love them to run our offense right now. The way the Eagles ran their offense last year, heavy run, a lot of misdirection. They didn't have a highly touted offensive line when they came in the league, but somehow they were the best running team in the league. They utilized their mobile quarterback effectively. So there's a lot of the ways it was used. The way it was used was the right way, in my opinion. I think we would have done better keeping the offense. I can't think of his name right now. The offensive coordinator we had under that was the offensive coordinator whenever Jay Gruden got fired. And what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Can't think of his name. Shoot, I can see his face. I just can't think of his name right now. But he was the offensive coordinator. Him and Dwayne Haskins didn't do bad the last few games of that season. Whenever whoever our offensive line coach was at the time, he took over the team, coached the Raiders at one point. But I think that he would have been a better offensive coordinator than Scott Turner. I think what it is Ron, just like he has loyalty to players he's drafted and signed. I think Ron, to a fault, this might be his biggest fault, is the loyalty to people he knows and tries to give them chances other than going with people that could probably do better. That's probably one of his biggest ones. What do I think of Jack Del Rio? I think Jack Del Rio is a very good defensive coordinator. The problem with Jack Del Rio is I've noticed this the last 2 years, and we're going to see if it's going to happen a 3rd year, then it's going to be a trend, and that's just how he is then. But Jack Del Rio, I've noticed, like the first year we had Jack Del Rio and Ron, it took us to about mid-season for them to understand how to play everyone, like where their strengths were, so on and so forth. It took them a while to do that. Last year, same exact thing happened. Midway through the season, right around the Denver game, is when he finally started figuring out how to use his players effectively and to put them in the best chance to succeed. And it usually takes, like I said, about the middle of the season, and then he finally figures it out. Now, if he figures it out sooner, look out. Washington come out the gate as hot at defense and as good on defense as they are like middle, like from like the middle of the season on under Jack Del Rio's, like whenever he's like defensive coordinator, look out, because we're gonna have some games where we're gonna like hold teams like 10 or 17 points, and our offense just have to put up 20 points to win games. It's insane. But I do think he's a very good defensive coordinator. Right now, Kyle O'Brien is the offensive coordinator for the LA Rams. Sure, sign him. I cannot think of the guy's name. He was the offensive coordinator whenever Jay Gruden got fired. Kevin Con? No, I can't think of his name. If Wentz can put up 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions again, do you think that's enough? That's good enough to make the playoffs? Yeah, let's look at Washington right now. Washington lost 4 games by a touchdown. So Taylor Heinicke had 16 interceptions last year. So you should track 9 of those interceptions. And those are possessions in which either A, we don't throw the ball away and give teams like the ball in like bad situations, or B, we score off of those situations. And then you add another 8 touchdowns. You add 8 touchdowns and just scatter them throughout our season. What is Washington looking at right now? What is Washington looking at? We are looking at this is not 8 touchdowns, but 6. So let's just say we throw 1 touchdown in 4 of those games. We throw 1 touchdown in against the Chargers, we win that game. We throw 1 touchdown in against the Saints, I think we win that game because he had a lot of interceptions in the Saints game. We throw 1 touchdown in against the Denver Broncos and take away an interception, we definitely win that game. You throw 1 touchdown in against the if he plays against the Eagles, that might be a better way of putting it. But he threw 1 touchdown in against the 1 touchdown against Dallas. There we go, and take away an interception. There's 4 games right there, and that's just taking away an interception and adding a touchdown in 4 games. That doesn't. There's other games that you do that in, we might even win more. So that's why, like, I don't get everyone's like ripping Carson Wentz for going for like the way the season ended last year. I get it, but the team didn't play well either. The defense gave up 30 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the defense gave up, I think it was 27 points against the Raiders. So the whole team wasn't playing well. I mean, it's great because he's a scapegoat and he's an easy target, and the owner didn't like him anyway. But I don't think Carson. I think Carson Wentz, if he puts up those numbers, Washington's making the playoffs. I guarantee it. We're making the playoffs and we run away for our division. If our quarterback is only turning the ball over 7 times, you got to think about that. It's 1 out of every 2 games. And 27 touchdowns, I think we'll get more than 27. He got 27 touchdowns on a run-heavy team. That's the thing about Carson Wentz. He got 27 touchdowns on a team that ran the ball a lot. I think the leading rusher was Jonathan Taylor last year. On a team that runs the ball a lot and had a lot of rushing touchdowns, he still scored 27 touchdowns. That's what's insane about that. If the team only had 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions and like maybe 2 rushing touchdowns and like 1,000 yards rushing, you might be a little like concerned about that. But he had 27 touchdowns on a team that ran the ball a shit ton. Like they probably, I think they ran the ball more than anyone else other than maybe the Titans. That's what I think. I don't think people are taking that into consideration when they're considering what Carson Wentz could do with our offense. Scott Turner throws the ball a lot. He doesn't run the ball anywhere near as close as the Colts do. And our offensive line's better. Our offensive line's maybe not better run blocking. I think we're better pass blocking though. And I'll read that in 1 second. Kevin O'Connell, that's it. It was Kevin O'Connell, yes. I thought it was Kevin. I didn't want to say I thought it was O'Connor. And I'm like, that's not it. What's that saying? That's what it's saying about. Okay, I'm sorry. It's not Kyle. It's Kevin O'Connell. We're taking that into consideration when considering what Carson Wentz to do. Okay. Wentz being in the NFC East is an advantage to us because he knows the teams and the personnel. That's a very good point. That's a very solid point. And like I said, we're going to throw the ball more than the other teams. He also did. What's the best receiver on who was the best receiver on the Colts last year? Probably Michael Pittman. Terry McLaurin run circles around Michael Pittman. Much better. Okay, who's the second best receiver? I mean, you had an aging T.Y. Hilton. If healthy, I don't think I think T.Y. Hilton is past his prime. In his prime, I would agree with you. T.Y. Hilton is better than Pittman in his prime, but T.Y. Hilton's past his prime. But last year, well, okay, statistically, Pittman was the best. He had the most receiving yards. But T.Y. Hilton healthy and 100% is probably a better receiver. You're not wrong there. But if you compare that, McLaurin's a better receiver than Pittman. Curtis Samuel, when healthy, is better, probably just as good as T.Y. Hilton. Logan Thomas and Bates are probably better than the tight ends he had there. I'm not going to sit here and say Jonathan Taylor is better than he is better than Gibson, but Gibson's no slouch. Gibson's good. Where Gibson, and you're going to have more flexibility here, is our guys can catch the ball in the backfield. And you also have De'Ami Brown. I think De'Ami Brown is going to be a lot better with Carson Wentz. You got like Carson Wentz, a good quarterback is a force multiplier. Okay, before a lot of moves that Terry McLaurin has couldn't use because of their double moves where he goes deep. Taylor Heineke can't throw deep, or he would underthrow him a lot. Good question. Jamin Davis, I see him being an outside linebacker. Possibly, and I'll quote that, possibly, they might put him at they might have him just slim up like he was in college and play the Landon Collins role. But I think Ron's going to be, like I said, I think Ron does not like to be wrong. And Ron is going to want to, he's going to want to be right about this pick. So he's going to try to play him at linebacker as long as possible. He doesn't want to have to admit that he was wrong about a guy that he reached for. He's going to want to play him at outside linebacker as long as possible to make sure he's right. So that's what I think Jamin Davis, that's the role he's going to play outside linebacker. He's not going to play middle linebacker. I think we're going to draft one. We may draft a middle linebacker and put him at outside linebacker and move Cole Holcomb to the middle. That's possible. But I think we're going to draft Chad Muma and have him play middle linebacker. That's what I honestly think we're going to do. And then Jamin Davis will play outside linebacker. Probably the will. Probably the will. Our receivers struggled last year because Heineke could not get the ball to them. He lacks some arm strength. Yeah. That's why I said, Carson Wentz is a force multiplier. He's going to make Taylor Heineke better. Taylor Heineke, a lot of his moves were jumps, and he was still effective, but he was made less effective because he can't use a double move. His double move where he'll maybe take a 5 yard and fake a slant and go deep. Can't do it because Taylor Heineke is going to underthrow that. So they don't call that many. So now Taylor Heineke can actually go deep. He can get over the top of defense, and Carson Wentz can literally flick his wrist and throw the ball 50 yards through the air. De'Ami Brown, same thing. De'Ami Brown is a deep threat. He stretches the defense. Well, you're not really going to stretch the defense if you know he's not going to throw the ball more than 30 yards. And also, it helps the running game because he can throw the ball deep and because he can make every throw on the field. Carson Wentz, you can say what you want. He can make every throw. He may make some dumb decisions, but he can make every throw on the field. Carson Wentz can make every throw. So if you blitz him, he'll burn you. Okay, so it's going to loosen up the defense for the running game as well. They're going to play back another yard. They're going to play further back from the line. And our offensive line was good enough last year that we did very well with Heineke at quarterback, and teams were playing up on him. So, all of our receivers, I don't think our receivers so much struggled. I just think the offense was, I guess I can say they struggled. So, but that's what I see Jamin Davis doing. And I think fans are underestimating Carson Wentz significantly. All right, we are on an hour, almost 2 hours here. Does anyone? We'll got 10 more minutes of questions, and then we'll wrap it up. This has been fun. I love doing live streams. I love answering questions. I love chiming in with the fellow Washington Commanders fans. I'm Commander Plank. Salute to the. I'm trying to get salute to the Commanders going instead of hail to the Commanders. Might be my thing. My only concern is when staying healthy. He has a history of injuries. You're not wrong there, but he did play a full season last year. So, do you expect Terry McLaurin will actually get extended, or will they stay put? I think they'll extend him after the drafts. I think they'll extend him after the draft. I wish they just get done now. Like I said, we got Carson Wentz. We got a quarterback that's the monkey off our back. What's the next one? Well, now it's Taylor Heineke. Now it's Jerron Payne. Getting those guys signed or whatever we're going to do with those guys. So I hope we sign Terry McLaurin long term. He deserves a payday, and I think Washington wants to draft and see what they have, and what kind of money they have left over to give him now. I think that's more or less what it is. John Bates is a solid tight end. I think he was a very good pickup. Is he a number one tight end? He might be. He's very good at blocking. He's got good hands. Is he like your, the superstar, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Zach Ertz, Jimmy Graham type of tight end? Or I'll even throw Jordan Reed in there or Vernon Davis. Is he like that? No. He's more of your bruiser type of tight end, but he's a good tight end. He's like a Jason Witten type. He can do everything. He'll catch the ball. He's not going to blow you away with like athletic feats, but he will be consistent for years to come. We talked about Jeremy Sprinkle earlier. He's definitely better than Jeremy Sprinkle, and I think I think he was probably our best rookie last year, other than him and Samuel Cosme were our best rookies. Definitely think he was those were our best rookies last year. And about Carson Wentz saying injury history, yeah, but I think I hope that. So here's why I think it's not going to be as much of an issue for us. So Taylor Heineke has an history injury as well, and we did a pretty good job last year preventing him from getting injured. So whether that's scheme or whether that's offensive line, I don't know. We have a better offensive line pass blocking than the Colts did. So there's a lot of factors into that, but you're not wrong. He definitely has a lot of seasons, but he did play every game last year. The new stadium in Washington. So there's a couple rumors, and I hope it's the one. I hope it's near National Harbor, near MGM Casino. I hope it's right there. A lot of good stuff right there, right across the bridge. It's still in the same county. I think the county wants to keep the stadium there. I just hope it's nice. I just hope it's a nice stadium. I don't actually hate FedEx. I've been to FedEx twice, and I live in Pittsburgh, and I've been to a lot of Pittsburgh games, and I think the stadium is better in Pittsburgh. Now Pittsburgh's is more, it's more of a football stadium. It's not like it's centered around football. Everything else, like at FedEx Field, it's centered more. It's more luxurious, I would say, than like football. You feel like you're in a football stadium when you're at Heinz Field, but it is not the seats aren't as comfortable. It's not as nice on the inside, so on and so forth. So I don't think FedEx Field is horrible, but I think a lot of other things about FedEx Field are horrible. We got water leaking, guardrails falling over, the field. Every game, someone gets a serious injury on their field. But I think the stadium, I don't have it on me. I don't have like the post, but they said like National Harbor near MGM is where a lot of where like they want to put it, and I don't disagree with them. I think it'd be a great place to put it, right near MGM. You can literally go to MGM, have a drink, do some gambling, have dinner, whatever, and then there should be some kind of walkway from MGM over to the stadium. It's like, and yeah, that is where I think it should be. If they're not going to put it in DC, not going to put it in DC. It's federal land, and they think they can do something else with it. So, a lot of bureaucrats and politicians, and I hate politicians. So, so that's why I think the stadium will go. 5 more minutes, folks. Anything you want to know about me? I'm 34. Married. I have one child. Her name is Annabeth. She's amazing. She's actually very tall. She's 13 months old, or 15 months old, and she is 33 inches tall. Very tall kid. Hopefully she gets height, because I used to play basketball and I want to teach her how to play. Take this one more time. So with six people on, what is your favorite thing to get at McDonald's? My favorite thing to get at McDonald's, I usually get the double quarter pounder with no onions. Yeah, that's it. If I get off the dollar menu, I like the McChicken, and I get a sweet and sour sauce with it. Do you think it's a witch hunt being put on Snyder? No, I think he's getting what he deserves. This has been a long time coming. Like I said, I said it earlier. He's kind of run this team in the ground. It was a once respectable threat every year to win a Super Bowl. Now it's a laughing stock. It's a joke. And it's because of him. It's because of how he's handled everything. He's got a lot of personal misconduct. He's run the organization. He's hid stuff. He's hid money. I think Joe Biden is cool. No, I do not. But I think Snyder gets what he deserves, and I hope he sells the team, and I hope either Bezos or Elon Musk buy it. One of the two. I really do. You have to have someone that's going to overpay a little bit for it. The franchise is worth, I think it's like worth $5 billion right now. I'll keep this going all night if you guys have questions. I have nothing better to do. It's a Saturday night. My wife's in Maryland right now, seeing her family. I'm doing Easter eggs for next weekend. So I got this, and then I'm probably playing some video games and going to bed. I played video games before this. And I hope they force Dan Snyder to sell. Do I have kids? I have one daughter. Her name is Annabeth, and I have another kid on the way. Don't know if it's a boy or girl yet. Annabeth is she just turned 15 months about a week ago. And she's an amazing kid. And like I said, she's pretty tall for her age. She's in the 95th percentile for height. She's 33 inches tall. It's almost 3 feet at not even 2 years old. Not even a year and a half. So. I'll say this while I'm on here. I recommend everyone. Apparently, Sonic the Hedgehog movie, the new one, is very good. A coworker of mine told me today it was very good. Any free agents left you want to see us sign? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Has the Honey Badger been signed yet? I didn't think he had, but he might have. I don't remember. If there's any linebackers left, I think the only middle linebacker we really have on our. Could we have a house tour? That might be a future video. I can do a future video. But here's the thing about my house. It is a drastic improvement from what I had. So where I was living before was a 2-bedroom apartment. Me and my wife, my daughter. Me and my wife had a room. My daughter had a room. I used to have a room dedicated to gaming, making YouTube channels in. I'm a nerd. I have stuff like this on my wall. Okay. I have tons of stuff like that. So I'm a nerd at heart, but I love football. I know it's a weird combination. So I had a room dedicated to that. And so we basically outgrew it. And I was paying $740 a month there. And I moved in this townhouse, and I don't know why it costs the way it does, but the townhouse is only $800. And here I don't have to pay for water. And water was about $100 where I used to live. So just the rent, which include internet and cable, was $745, and here it's $800, and I just have to pay for internet. Electricity's you pay for that separate either way. So it was a definite upgrade. I have an entire room right here dedicated to being able to do YouTube. I do have the laundry room stuff right behind me, but that was, it's so much better. And the less stress of doing that as well. My cat is laying right there. Before, my cat always had to be in the same room as my daughter, and they don't get along. It's because my cat's jealous. It's not my cat, let me phrase this, it's my wife's cat. So, yeah. And so to answer the question before that, free agents, Honey Badger really is the only one I only want to get. I don't want to get anyone else. Maybe a linebacker for depth. I don't think there's a starter caliber left. That's the only real free agent I would like to get, but that's going to cost a lot of money. If he's going to cost Bobby Wagner money, we can't afford him. He probably won't have a choice because I think a lot of people teams are out of money. They don't have money left. So like I said, I will do a tour of my house in the future. But let's just say it's a drastic improvement from what I had. Way more comfortable, way more spacious. I have a patio now. I have a washer dryer. I didn't have that in my last place. A lot of nice things. How well do you think Carson Wentz will perform with the number of receivers that we will possibly have? I think he'll perform better. I think we have a better receiving core. Let's assume for 2 seconds that we draft Chris Olave. We have McLaurin, Olave, Curtis Samuel, Cam Sims, Yami Brown, Dax Milne. That's our 7 receivers. Okay. I don't know if we'll keep that many or not, but that's our receiving core. Then you have John Bates, Logan Thomas potentially, and we might draft someone else. So I think he's going to have a better weapons. I think a lot of things are going to be better for Carson Wentz here. We'll throw the ball a little bit more, so that does open up for more turnovers, but it also opens up for him to get more touchdowns. And Honey Badger has not been signed. Yeah, so I kind of hope we get him. Maybe that's a post-draft signing. Washington doesn't find one they like, and they're like, you know what, let's throw some money at Honey Badger, and they bring him in. I don't know. Do you have anything that you have 3D printed that you can show us? I don't have anything 3D printed, but I do have some figurines like this and like this. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I just moved this weekend. I still have a lot of stuff in storage. So, like, for example, there's nothing on the walls here. I plan on having on that wall over there, having my big Washington banner. I also have another banner that has like all of our Super Bowls, the years, and then the Super Bowl numbers. So I have not finished that, and it's been very tiring, to say the least. It's been a very tiring move. I'm pretty sure I put 5 years on my back at least. And my wife's pregnant, so she can't help with much. So. Any more questions? I'll give another 5 minutes. I'll keep going as long as there's questions. Okay. Where did you order your new team gear? NFL.com. Who would be an impact player? Like in our draft, like who would we draft to be an impact player? Okay, I'll go back to Tone real quick. I got all this stuff. I ordered it from, I think it was NFLshop.com. Who would be an impact player? I'm assuming you're following up with your receiving question. I think it'd be Terry McLaurin. I think Terry McLaurin would, ascend to the next level as a receiver. He's put up 1,000 yards. He should have. Andreas or honor team. I don't know what that means, Jay. But like I said, I think Terry McLaurin should have 1,000 receiving yards his first year. He got injured against the Giants right before he was about to hit 1,000 yards. What do you normally do on a daily routine? I wake up at 6:45 in the morning, shower, get dressed. My wife wakes up, gets our daughter ready. I get my lunch out of the fridge. I take my daughter to daycare. Then I go to work, and I'm usually there around 8 a.m. And I work. Most days I'll work 8 a.m. till 5:30. Some days I'll work 8 to 7. Like Mondays, I usually work 8 to 7. In the draft or on our team, who would be in a black player? Would be in it. I don't understand your question, Jay. You think John Allen, Ron Payne friendship? I think brothers fight, dude. Who would be an impact player on the draft? In the draft or on our team, who would be an impact player? Okay, an impact player. In the draft, I think Chris Olave would be an offensive impact player. I think he comes in right away. He could be a receiver that can get between 500 to 800 yards easy in his rookie year with a competent quarterback. So I think that's where I think he will be an impact player right away. I think Muma could be a pretty good impact player as well. What we thought about Jamin Davis last year was that he was going to come in and lead the league in tackles because he's playing behind such a good defensive line. He's just going to roam free and make tackles everywhere. Not the case. I think Chad Muma is a better instinctual linebacker, whereas Jamin Davis is just an instinctual athlete. I think Muma just has a better knack for finding the football than Jamin Davis did. Jamin Davis is a freak athlete, and developing him is I think it's very important to like the long-term success of our team. But I think Chad Muma is a better inside linebacker than Jamin Davis. So I think his impact will be very, very, very important early. Those are the two impact players I think Washington's going to get. They're going to have an immediate impact. I'm going to rephrase that. And like I said, John Allen and Ron Payne, they're brothers, man. They had a fight. It is what it is. They haven't had more fights. Washington isn't trying to trade one or the other to separate them. It hasn't gotten that bad. What type of camera is this on, and what PC do you use to edit your videos? I don't know the exact brand. It's a Logitech. I think it's 1080p. And what PC do you use? I don't know the name of my PC. I have a very good gaming computer I just bought. I don't know the exact name of it. But what I use that in my videos, I have a couple options. I have 3 programs I use. I have one, it's Logitech Capture. And it lets me capture and film in the same thing. So if I do I do this channel, but I also do like a Let's Play channel as well. I'm losing my voice. And I have OBS, which makes it so, which I'll probably start using that more in the future. You can do just more things with it. I can have me in the corner. I can't really show you on here. Me in the corner, a video playing, a Let's Play going on, whatever. I can just have so much stuff going on, and it does a better job of juggling all those programs at once. And then also, and this is an old school, I actually have 2 other programs. One is called, it's on the phone. It's called Filmmaker, and that's where I make a lot of the stuff if I do it on the go. Sometimes I do videos while I'm driving. I don't film myself. I talk through the screen while I'm driving. And then I also use one other program. It's an old school program. I know everyone's going to laugh, but Movie Maker. I use Movie Maker a lot to make videos on here. And I know it's like outdated software and old stuff. It still gets the job done. So, and I'm very familiar with it. So, all right. Another 5 minutes. I've not played on Oculus. I want to play probably a Star Wars game. That's pretty much it. I'm aware of what Oculus is, and it seems very fun. If you've ever seen Ready Player One, I can't wait till gaming's like that. I really can't. Oculus might be the program that goes to that, that goes into that. I mainly play Xbox and Switch, and then my gaming computer. All right, three more minutes. Yeah, Ready Player One, one of the best movies. Every time I work, if I open and I'm by myself for a while, I put it on. Love it, and every time I see that movie, I find something new about it. Every time, every single time. So basically, call it Easter eggs in the movie. My favorite actor is Gerard Butler. I like a lot of his movies. It was for a long time until he went nuts. It was Mel Gibson when I was raised a lot on his things. Sorry, I got distracted. Never mind. It's a common thing. My favorite actor is Gerard Butler. One of my favorite movies of all time is 300, and I'm going to like a lot of his movies. If you haven't seen his most recent movie, it's called Cop Shop. Very good movie, very action packed. Favorite football movie? That's a very good question. Well, I can tell you my favorite basketball movie first. It's Coach Carter. As my favorite basketball movie. Love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I actually used to rent it so often that the person who owned the movie store when I was a kid, this is aging me. We actually had movie rental places, not named Blockbuster when I was a kid. But I rented it so much that they just gave it to me. That's how much I rented Coach Carter, and I love that movie. Favorite football movie though? Damn, that's a good question. I really like the movie. This is a very obscure one. I know what it is. It's Necessary Roughness. That's my favorite one. With Scott Bakula, Sinbad's in it. A lot of good stuff going on in that movie. Kathy Ireland is a smoke show in that movie. She's gorgeous. I know there's a lot of good football movies like Replacements, Waterboy. The program is very good as well. There's a fun deleted scene from the program you should check out. It's where they're if you've never seen it, look it up I think it's on YouTube. They went out drinking one night, quarterback and all the guys on the offense, and what they're doing is they're walking along the middle of the road and they're lining up head to toe, and they're like walking over each other and lining themselves up on the middle of the road. And they had to delete that because people were trying it, and they had to like cut it out of the movie. But that was a very big deleted scene from that movie. That's a very good movie. The program is an excellent movie. What's another? Remember the Titans. Obviously, Remember Titans is a very good one. The Fifth Quarter is a good one. One that's a very low key one that a lot of people don't know about. It's called Facing the Giants. It's a religious movie. If you're not religious, you may not like it. But it's about faith and how someone turned around a school's football program because they're just having more faith and beholding the players and having faith in them having more faith in God and things like that. I'm trying to think if there's any other football movies out there. Draft Day is a very good one, by the way. All right, TS, you have a good night, okay? Thanks for watching my stream. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. It's Commander, capital C Commander J Plank. When the Game Stands Tall is a very good one as well. Peace out, TS. When the Game Stands Tall was very good. The Gridiron Gang was good with The Rock. Yeah, there's a lot of good football movies out there. Little Giants, as PG as it is, it's a solid movie for kids and football. So Okay, I'm trying to think of other football movies now. Friday Night Lights is a good one. The show was good too, but the movie was pretty good. I'm trying to think of more football movies. I know I keep saying this, but 5 more minutes. Like I said, I'll be here all night if you guys keep asking questions. I'll just like talk. Do I like JP? JP who? Like J? I'm gonna ask like JP Finley, like from the Washington. All the right moves. Do I like JP? JP Finley. Okay. Yeah, I listen to their podcast every time they have one. I do think that, and this is the way it is. It's not just him. It's the way it is with everyone in the media around DC. They're very negative about Washington. He doesn't whine a lot. The problem is he's on TV a lot, and there's a lot to talk about. So it sounds like he whines a lot. If before he got put on the radio talk show, like if you just listen to his podcasts, there's not a lot of complaining. It just seems like that because he has to fill a show. So he's answering people and he's just being realistic and answering a show. And he's also got a counter. He's also got a counter. I think B Mitch is way more negative than JP ever is. But I listened to JP Finley for like 3 or 4 years now, and if you compare it, like just the podcast he would do once a week or whatever, or twice a week for Washington, compared to his radio show, complete difference. I just think he has to fill time. And if you haven't filled time, you're going to like beat some things into the ground. It sounds like you're complaining about it, but you're filling time. This will make a movie once the Snyder era is over about how one of the proudest franchises in all sports was gutted. You're not wrong there. That'll probably be a movie. Scott Lau, you were probably dead on right there. At least it'll make a very good football life or whatever those undercover football shows outside the lines or whatever they are. It'll make a very good one of those. But in all, I do like JP. Like I said, I've listened to him for years, and I will agree with you. He does sound whiny on the radio, but that's because I think that comes down to him having to fill time, and that's not really what he was prior to recently being thrown on the radio. Sports Junkies is always negative. I used to listen to them consistently, and I just got so tired of the negativity. But they made a nice living being radio personalities complaining about Washington sports. So, like, here's what gets me is like they had 1 year, the year that Alex Smith broke his leg. This what got me, and this is what stopped me from watching them. You had, I don't know, I'm not going to call their names out. I don't remember their names. I've kind of just forgotten their names. But you had two of them bragging that they predicted the record of Washington, like dead on. Like Washington was 6-3 going into the Texans game when Alex Smith broke his leg. The only reason you are right is because the entire wheels fell off the team, and they were bragging about being right. What do you think of Sheehan on? He's the only. I don't know who that is. I honestly don't. I don't live in DC. I live in Pittsburgh, unfortunately. I would love to live in DC. I'd love to be around the sports teams that I love and be able to watch them all the time. But I don't live in DC. I caught a bunch of the junk stuff because it's always on YouTube. All right, Jay Martell, you have a good one. You have a good night. Okay. Thanks for joining the stream, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Commander J Plank. Appreciate you stopping by. Okay. Have a good night. And yeah, Scott, Kevin, I don't live in DC. I'll have to look him up. I'll look him up on YouTube, see his opinions. But yeah, a lot of the sports talk guys around DC are very negative. But JP Finley is a lot more positive. But I will say on the radio, he does sound a lot whinier just because he has to fill a lot of time. And I think he also has to counter a lot of stuff that B. Mitch is saying. I think B. Mitch is a lot more negative because B. Mitch is coming from a player's perspective where they were successful. So it's a lot of the conversation. I think Julie Donaldson does a great job. Yeah, she's fantastic. She's gorgeous too. But she does a fantastic job, and she's very professional. I love watching her interviews. She gets a lot of things are like right on the head. Anything else? I think in the future I'm going to turn off the slow text mode on. I'm going to turn that off next time. See if you'll let me turn it off now. Okay. All right, guys, you got till 10 p.m. I got to get off here at 10 p.m. Really enjoying all this, the questions, though. If anyone on here, you kind of like the content, you like the dialogue, I want to do more of these streams. You think Bruce Allen, Dan Snyder's friendship ruined? I don't think the friendship was ruined. I think the work relationship was ruined. I think they're both two sides of the same coin. They're both idiots. They're both egotistical idiots. First time listening to you, bro. Good stuff. I'll watch again. Have a good night, Scott. Have a good night. If you could subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and salute to the Commanders. Have a good night, Scott. And Bruce Allen and Dan Snyder, I don't really care. I mean, Bruce Allen, the guy was a horrible GM. The only thing he was good at was he was okay with the cap space. He was very good at that. He was a cap guy, and that's it. And he should never been a GM. The biggest mistake he ever made was going out and talking to the media. Tried to claim that we had a great culture. It was a losing culture. What he meant was, I think what he should have said it was we have some guys with good character, but to say that Washington has a great culture is just utter bullshit. You have a culture of women having to fear being sexually assaulted on a day-to-day basis, being mistreated. You have a culture of Dan hiding money from the league, Dan fudging his numbers. When you have Congress investigating your books because they don't trust what you've done, you're just not it's not a culture that's good. That's all I'm going to say. It's a nice way about it. It's a nice way I'm going to put it is it's not a good culture. And I think Bruce Allen truly thought that was the case. If I'm being honest, I think he truly thought that he had a culture that was great, that it was a stand-up good culture, and I really think that's what he thought. When I'm done here, I'm probably playing some Halo. Five more minutes. Any more football talk? So while I'm waiting, I'll tell you about some stuff coming up for the channel. I will have a mock draft every year. I don't know if we're going to do it this year. He hasn't contacted me yet. But every year I do a collaboration video with on the Warpath, my guy Corey. We do a collaboration video where we talk about the draft and what our needs are and what we're going to go through. I think Washington's pretty much straightforward what they're going to look for. It's when they're going to draft and where they're going to draft and who they're going to draft. I have probably a couple mock drafts coming up on my own. I'll have a final mock draft like the night before the actual draft. I'll have a mock draft as well. I post them a lot on Twitter. yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll get all that stuff. I'll post stuff about the USFL as well. All right, we're down to 3 minutes. Any last questions anyone wants to ask? Anything pertaining to me, sports, whatever. Just nothing politics. And we're winding down. I got 4 people left on the stream. I appreciate everyone that's listened. Whoever's left, appreciate you guys listening. Down to 2 minutes. If you have any final questions, put them in there. If not, at 10 o'clock on the dot, I'm gonna head out. Then end the stream. Do I stream for regular season games? No, I do not. Usually I watch the games with my wife, and last year my daughter. My daughter actually got very into games because when I got excited, she got excited. So she would cheer with me. If it was a consistent thing, I might. I do join some like other people's podcast or their streams. They stream the game as well. But I do not stream the games. I do react to the games. I wish I could though. I wish I could. If I could truly pick my like occupation, I would love to just make YouTube content for a living. I know everyone would like to do that, and that's like everyone's like seems like easy living. I would love to make Washington content, and I'd love to make my other channel. If you want to check out my other channel, it's called J Dark Knight TV. JDARKNIGHTV. And it's a YouTube channel where it's about, I do top 10 lists for like video games. If you ever did tiermaker.com, it's a tier maker where you rank like movies, you rank like movies that are Star Wars movies. Like I have one that was about Batman movies. There's video games. There's Let's Plays I'm going to do on there. There's a ton of content. It's a variety of content. This is very niche, where it's like just about the Washington football team and sports. My other one is about the nerdy side of me. It's about video games. It's about movies. It's about TV shows. Like I said, video games. So that's what that one's about. I'm going to do Let's Plays. I finally got a good computer. That's like this last year has been great. The last like 4 months have been great because I got a very nice computer. I got a very nice apartment where I can actually, or a nice townhouse where I can actually have a room to do all this stuff without being crammed. Before my computer was in the corner in the same room as my wife was sleeping, so I could never make content when she was asleep. I could just like play video games on my own. She didn't mind the light, but I can't like make a lot of noise because she's an easy sleeper. She's not a heavy sleeper. She's a light sleeper. So drastic improvement situation. So that's why like I'm very excited to be where I'm at now. And if you like this kind of things, check out my other channel. It is 10 o'clock. Tonja, I appreciate your messages. And check out my other channel. If you want to follow that Twitter account, that is also the same thing, JDark. So my name is JD. Here's how it's played out. JD, so capital J, capital D. Dark Knight. So the D in JD starts dark, and the K at the end of dark starts night, and the T at the end of night starts TV. So JDARKNIGHTV. That's how it's spelled. All right. I want to thank everyone for watching. It's been awesome. I love doing these. I love doing. I do wish there would be more people. But it's a Saturday night. People got stuff to do. So I want to thank everyone for watching. And hail to the Commanders. A salute to all of you. And have a good weekend. And I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.